Blocker Grand Slam, free YouTube subscription to Pardon My Take. We're not going to be able to afford this.
No. You're taking
We'll
away
figure it out later.
Pretty much you're reducing my salary to 2 apes per episode.
Yeah. We might have to fire Billy.
All my apes gone.
Don't subscribe. Otherwise, we might have to. On today's Pardon My Take, we have our good friend Andy Staples on to talk college football. One question with the quarterback with Joe Burrow after his return to Louisiana. We have some Monday Night Football recap to talk about. Russell Wilson, it's gotten somehow worse. Talk a little playoff baseball, and we're going to finish up with FAQs and Guys on Chicks, a little combo, dealer's choice, and it is brought to you by our friends at Game Time. MLB Playoffs are underway, and if you plan on getting tickets, you need Game Time. Game Time is a ticketing app that makes it easier than ever to score last-minute deals on tickets to sports, concerts, and shows, and they guarantee the lowest price. If you haven't given Game Time a shot yet, don't know what you're waiting for, you guys are going to love this app. We've been using Game Time all year, and let's just announce this right now, PFT Hank and I are sending Max to the Phillies NLCS game, whatever, Saturday, Friday, whatever game you want to go to, Max, on us through Game Time. Which game do you want to go to, Max?
This is crazy. Wait.
Is he crying?
No.
Is he crying?
He's crying.
He's crying.
He's crying in Philly, which is just getting angry.
This is what Game Time does for people. 2 tickets, Max. You pick the game. Game Time will make sure that you get in. We're going to buy them through Game Time. Which game are you going to go to?
Friday.
Friday.
Yeah,
He's
okay.
going Friday night. Holy shit. Watch out, Philly. Talking fightins said Game Time app. So we're gonna purchase those tickets through the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app. Go to the account tab to create a login and redeem code PMT for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Game Time last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed with the Game Time app. Redeem code PMT for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Okay, let's go. Welcome to Pardon My Take, presented by Game Time. Go download the Game Time app right now. Go to the account tab, create a login, redeem code PMT for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. PFT Hank and I are taking Max to the Phillies NLCS game, and by taking, I mean we're buying him tickets through the Game Time app. You can do it right now. It's an awesome app exclusive to Barstool Sports. Today is Wednesday, October 19th. And the Broncos have somehow gone from bad to worse. Monday Night Football. I'm going to say this, and I know this people will be like, oh, you're just saying this to be opposite. I enjoy having the Broncos on primetime football because every time it's a story. It's bad football, but you see something new every time, and it's a weird story. And we had an overtime last night that was tied 16-16 that had 16 plays for 16 yards, no first downs, and the Chargers win off of a muff punt, never getting a first down in overtime, and the Broncos are as rock bottom as it gets.
So there's the old Kevin Clark tweet, friend of the program, about the Seahawks, the Seahawks have never played a normal game. The problem wasn't the Seahawks. The problem was Russell Wilson. It follows him wherever he goes. And he always plays hilarious brands of football. You see, like you said, like brand new shit that you haven't seen at all. So I tuned in. I was able to catch the fourth quarter and overtime yesterday. So I'm remote right now, dealing with some real life, like family, personal stuff. But I was able to tune in for the fourth quarter. I was following along on my phone. I was so confused because in the first half, I was like, Russell Wilson, holy shit, he's back. He's fixed everything. In the first half, just lighting it up. And then he went backwards somehow in the second half. I think they had like negative 13 yards cumulative passing in the second half for Russell Wilson. So they stopped doing everything that was working. I was very confused watching it. And then as it goes into overtime, I'm like, what's wrong with Dustin Hopkins? Their kicker can't kick. He's got one leg. Russell Wilson is going out there and he's not able to pass the ball physically. I don't think he was hurt. I think his brain is hurt at this point. I think that when people say, like, is there something wrong with Russell Wilson? I think, yes, there is. I think mentally he's a broken man.
Well, he is hurt because we had we're now getting the full court press from Russell Wilson's PR team through NFL reporters because we had the report from Tom Pelissero that was this was the concern pending test today. Russell Wilson plays through pretty much everything, but his health will be worth monitoring again on a short week leading up to Sunday's game. And then Ian Rappaport quote tweeted it and said, after the MRI, Russell Wilson is considered day-to-day, source said. It's a real injury, and he's in real pain, but he's pushing to play. That was one of those reports that came directly from an agent. It's a real injury, and he's in real pain, just so that we all know Russell Wilson playing so shitty that everyone is regretting the $250 million contract he got. You got to know that he's in real pain, and it's a real injury, and he will play through it.
And my real girlfriend lives in Canada, and she's a real model.
It was so funny seeing that tweet and being like, well, that's very predictable. And the game was PFT. The game was insane. It was insane on both sides because you not only had Russell Wilson, who came out and looked good for the first, quarter and a half, threw a touchdown pass, like kind of looked like old Russell Wilson scrambling around a little, but then it just devolved into neither team being able to do anything. You had Justin Herbert throw for 57 attempts for 238 yards and no touchdowns. He basically, like, the Broncos defense is very good. And so it was Justin Herbert's throwing dump downs, check downs, and then Russell Wilson not being able to do anything and, like, multiple times having blitzes come that no one blocked, and he would just get absolutely smushed. And the overtime, like I said, I know that this is going to be, people are going to be like, you're trying to go against the grain. But if you watch that game, it was so stupid, and it was so similar to the Colts game, Broncos-Colts. It was so stupid, and it became so hilariously bad that it's interesting. I'd rather have a high-scoring game. I'd rather have Derek Carr versus Patrick Mahomes all day. But there's something about a Broncos primetime game that is fascinating to watch because it's just a car crash for 60 minutes plus last night. Nathaniel Hackett doing dumb shit, Russell Wilson not being able to figure it out, and their defense being elite. And it all just winds up as the Broncos 2-4.
Do the Broncos ever practice blitz pickups? Because from what I saw in the fourth quarter and overtime, they were rushing guys up the middle the entire time. What's his name? Drew Tranquil was just not being touched. They just weren't touching him. And then Russell Wilson would drop back and immediately get sacked. It's like, okay, maybe put somebody back there to chip, maybe put an extra tight end in, maybe do anything different on offense to try to pick up this blitz because it seemed like they weren't even trying at that point. It seemed like Nathaniel Hackett was pissed off at Russell Wilson. It was like, okay, you're really hurt. Okay, I'm going to put you in real pain then. I'm just going to get your ass kicked for the entire fourth quarter and overtime. It was very bizarre seeing that. And like you compare Nathaniel Hackett to like what's going on with the New York Giants and all the small things that we keep talking about. That's the type of thing, like figuring out how to pick up blitzes and how to make adjustments over the course of a game. Like Nathaniel Hackett might be an offensive guru, and I like Nathaniel Hackett. I want to have him back on the show.
Nice guy.
Very nice guy. I want to root for him. His son thinks Blake Bortles has a huge penis. Great family. But you also have to be like, wait, this is something that you're just not prepared for at all. Just because you're a good offensive coordinator doesn't mean you know how to do all this stuff. There was another part in overtime. I think we might have seen the best catch that never counted.
Mike Williams.
That Mike Williams diving catch on the sideline. I could not believe that he hauled that in, and I think he might have touched his toe down. And they only showed it like once. I think if they had like the NBC at angle or whatever it is for ESPN where they zoom in, I think his left foot touched and it's tough to say, like, if your foot touches like a blade of that fake grass, does that count, or does it have to hit like the rubber pellets for it to count? Because I think he grazed the grass.
And the craziest part about that catch wasn't even the catch. It's the fact that that's how good Pat Surtain is, that Mike Williams didn't do anything last night because Pat Surtain just locked him down, that Mike Williams had to make maybe the best catch of his career that didn't count to even have a chance to like make an impact. I think I saw a stat that Pat Surtain's given up like 150 yards this season as a primary defender. Like he just completely locks down a side of the field. And that Broncos defense, like the other thing we had, and I know we pick on Russell Wilson, but it has been a big storyline in this NFL season, especially because they've been playing on primetime so much. But at halftime, they showed the entire Broncos team going to the locker room. And Russell Wilson was standing outside the locker room, essentially making everyone high-five him. And the body language was not great. It was not great, and it feels like with the way the Broncos defense is playing, there have to be some pretty pissed off dudes in that locker room that are like, how do we not win these games when we hold down Justin Herbert he has to throw 57 times to get 200 yards. Like when we make Matt Ryan look like he should retire and we keep losing these games because Russell Wilson can't make the plays that he was paid to come to Denver and make.
Yeah, I think he just makes everybody around him uneasy. Everybody's got a friend like that in their life or like an acquaintance, somebody that maybe you're in a class with that just bad vibes. And Russell Wilson is a freak athlete, so he kind of skates by a lot of that stuff. But if like Russell Wilson, if his brain was born into Michael Cera's body, he would be writing a manifesto somewhere. He would be like completely shunned and he would not have any friends.
It's crazy. And it feels like it's, I mean, I guess now that we can do the injury thing, like Dion actually called this last week. He's like, Russell Wilson will definitely say that he has an injury if he plays bad. And it does feel like this is a situation where Russell Wilson could, if it keeps going bad, be like, I'm out for the year and just do a fresh start. And I actually wouldn't blame him because a fresh start is almost what this team needs because the vibes have been so bad and the games have been so bad. And you even think about the games they won because they've won 2 games. They beat the Texans and that was closer than it should have been. And then remember they beat the Niners because Jimmy Garoppolo, Dan Orlovsky's himself. So it's not just like the losses are bad. The wins haven't been, like they haven't had one good game of football through 6 weeks. And we also are now getting the old-fashioned, it happens every year, where everyone complains about the NFL product. For the first time, I kind of see it, not because the games are so bad. I just don't think there's more than 3 or 4 really good teams. Like when you think about the really good teams, the Bills and the Eagles have played really good football. The Chiefs, the Giants and Jets, you could throw in there. But like everyone else has, all the other teams that are supposed to be in that elite category have had some real stinker of games and some of them on prime time. And it makes you think like, whoa, does everyone suck?
I think a lot of it is that defenses are really good now. Like just because it's not like a shitload of high scoring games doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad football. It's all depending on like the perspective that you look at it from. We've been conditioned over the last like 10 years to be shootouts. That's what we're going for. All the rule changes, football, all the innovation football has come on like the spread side of the game, just trying to figure out ways to really exploit the passing game. And now we've got some really good defenses. I think like the Broncos defense is awesome. They're very, very, very good. They're like Super Bowl quality defense.
You're right. And it's also, I mean, there's been a lot written about it that a lot of teams are going more into cover 2 and basically keeping everything in front of them and saying, hey, we're not going to let explosive plays beat us. So you don't see these like, red zone, holy shit, 80-yard touchdowns as much. But it does feel like, I mean, and I guess I know people are like, oh, it's more positions than just the quarterback, but the quarterback is the most important position in all of American sports. And when quarterbacks like Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, like you can go down the list of guys that have struggled a little bit, Russell Wilson, like guys that are supposed to be elite, Kyler Murray, like Matthew Stafford, that affects the play. Where they aren't playing their best football, the games don't look as good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Billy,
I thought I was rooting for a second for a tie last night in overtime.
Oh, big time.
Like we got that game had tie energy. We got gypped out of a tie. I don't know if I can say the G word.
No, you can't.
We got screwed out of a tie against the Colts when it was the Colts and the Broncos. This felt like it had a tie, and
no one got a first down. No one got a first down.
That's such a smart play. Why don't teams do that more on punts? It's just block the other guy into the guy that's about to catch the ball. It's
no
so
one
smart.
got a first down.
And then
it was crazy.
Like watching Dustin Hopkins fall over, like he got his leg blown off with a grenade 3 times.
It was all game.
It was awesome.
It was all game. He had the wrap on. He was like, they kept on showing him. I've never seen a kicker pour it on more that they were injured. And like he would just fall down. He wasn't even getting hit. He would just kick and then just fall down. And then like slowly get up.
Well, he would
and then
scream
put the wrap
on his way down too.
Yeah, then put the wrap on, and everyone would be like, "Damn, Dustin Hopkins really gutting it out."
They put him on his shoulders after the last kick for a second. I was like, "What's going on right now? Why are we doing that?" I guess that's the only time Dustin Hopkins will ever have that treatment. And to be fair, for the Chargers, that franchise, they're not really known for having heroic kickers at any given point. So that to them was like that's as good as it's going to get. Yeah, I am curious to see what Billy has to say too about Billy. Why is offensive football so offensive this year?
No, because just as we were saying, that cover two everyone's playing, the real evolution in the defense is the linebackers. They're more athletic. They're built to stop the rushing quarterback. And with that, you're seeing teams that stack it up and take advantage of these lighter guys. The age of the hole plugger, like a Ray Lewis, Urlacher, who used to just hit the hole, that sort of was phased out with these new agile quarterbacks.
Oh, he cut out.
Right,
that was a good point he was making.
Billy. It's actually the internet did Billy a favor because he was on a real hot streak right there.
Yeah.
So good job, internet, cutting Billy off. So far, you made great points.
Yeah, that was great points. But you know what I'm saying? Like when you actually even Lamar has had really bad moments and
Wait, I cut out.
You cut out. So, but it was a great point up until you cut out.
You were dead right.
Yeah, it's actually you should have more points cut out because it cuts you off right before you could say something that will then incriminate yourself. So it was the perfect Billy point. But I also what I wanted to say was, even though it's been bad through six weeks, this does happen every year where September looks sloppy, and then good teams start playing better, and the bad teams start to fade, and you get this equal everything levels off, and we get good football down the stretch. So I'm not freaking out. I'm just noticing. For the first time, people always make this complaint, and I'm usually fuck that. Who cares? They're usually just complaining about the standalone games. This time, it does actually have a little bit of merit that the unders are hitting at a crazy pace. The games don't have as many points. There haven't been all these incredible instant classic type games, but I think they're coming. That's my whole point. I think they're coming. Maybe not this week because, unfortunately, for the people that say that the games suck, we have the Eagles, the Bills, the Vikings, and the Rams all on bye. So it's gonna be like a grab your lunch pail type of Sunday, real football fans only. But it will happen. We'll get there. We will get there.
I think all those quarterback or all those teams that you mentioned, the ones that were starting slow, those are the guys that didn't play in the preseason either.
True.
Maybe
we should keep
it would have
doing
been
that
good for Russell Wilson and Nathaniel Hackett to have played in a couple games in the preseason. Maybe that would help them in mid-October.
Yeah, Jake, schedule. Remind me in December, mid-December, if there's a bad Thursday, Sunday, or Monday night game. I'm going to be probably should have played the starters in preseason because that feels like that has some legs later on in the season.
It's probably going to be a Super Bowl take.
Yeah, yeah, probably should have started these guys in the preseason. But yeah, it was an eventful game, and I know that they're not aesthetically pleasing watching the Broncos play. But I kind of am going to miss that. I don't think they have another primetime game for a month and a half or so.
Well, they've got reverse primetime because they're playing the Jaguars. Yeah.
All right, but
that's the true Lunder game.
Did you see the Christmas slate?
They're playing
too?
Christmas
They're playing
Eve.
Christmas
Standalone
and the
game.
Yeah.
stink.
No, Christmas Day, there was a standalone game because they moved the bulk of the slate to Saturday. I think they did this 6 or 7 years ago.
There's three games
yeah.
on Christmas.
and
they're all bad.
I don't know. I like what you just tune in because you're you don't know what kind of fucked up football you're going to watch, and it's something interesting, even though it is bad. And by the way, talking about schedule, the NFL remains king next year. Black Friday, we get a game, which they're just flexing on everything, and I love it. I wish they had done this earlier, where they're just we own every day. If there's other sports being played, tough shit, we're playing a game.
No, it's
that'll mark
it's
every
a big
day
brain move on their part because it's Friday after Thanksgiving. What does Jeff Bezos do? He runs Amazon, right? Or he founded Amazon. He's trying to get people to stay home and buy shit online instead of going to wait in stores. What better way to do that than to have games on television? People are going to be on their asses on the couch.
Yeah. Yeah. So NFL is king, as always. Anything else from week 6? We're going to do all of our college football talk with Andy Staples coming up. PFT, you're Carson Wentz. You've been relieved of Carson Wentz duty, which you should be happy about.
Dude, I'm not happy about it, Big Cat, because I was rooting so hard for this guy. Nobody wanted him. We wanted him in DC. You saw Ron Rivera after that last game, right? He was crying. He was like, I wanted this guy. I was the one that brought the binders full of quarterbacks over to Mr. Snyder, and I showed him, look at this guy. This guy is a guy that we can build around. I felt the same way. You saw me from day one. I was fully in support of Carson Wentz. I did everything that I could to try to make it work out. It's just unfortunate that he had this injury in a game that he won, actually. And I bet if you go back and you look at the history of Washington football team, Redskin Commanders quarterbacks, he might be the first quarterback to win their last game with this franchise in 25 years. It's just that he went out on top. Thank you, Carson, for everything you contributed to the organization. And now it's Taylor Heineke time, bitch. And I'm pretty pumped up about Heineke going into Green Bay and just beat the fuck out of Aaron Rodgers.
I think that game's
at
in
home,
Washington.
At home, yeah.
Then
he'll go to Green Bay afterwards and kick his ass.
I think I might have to bet on the Commanders just on the theory that everyone hates Carson Wentz. Like you have to bet on the Commanders this week, just being like, everyone hates this dude. He was not good. Taylor Heineke is a very likable guy who will just make shit happen. He's going to throw deep to your receivers that are very, very good, and fun shit's going to go down.
Yeah, that's what's great about Taylor Heineke. He's one of the most fun quarterbacks to watch. I don't mind watching Taylor Heineke even if we end up losing, because it's just a fun brand of football.
Yeah.
And I know that's loser talk, but I knew last year we weren't going to win anything. This year, we're probably not going to win anything. So, yeah, put Heineke out there. Have him just stir shit up. Just make plays. I want to see Taylor Heineke pointing downfield up into the air and just fucking letting one sail. That's the Heineke. I know that's the brand of football I want to see played.
Absolutely. Okay, so other stuff. Baseball. The Yankees survive 5-game series against the Guardians after a rain delay on Monday night that people were pretty pissed about. It was a fun scene watching the Bronx today, because I love whenever a guy showboats or does a celebration and it backfires instantly, and that happened with Josh Naylor, who did Rock the Baby to Garrett Cole in Game 4. And from that moment on, the Guardians scored 1 run in 15 innings, and the entire stadium was rocking the baby, including, was it Glaber who did it at
Yeah, Glaber did it after the
final out, just shoving it back in their face. I have nothing against the Guardians. I was rooting for them. Pinstripe Dan will tell you differently, but me, Big Cat, I was rooting for the Guardians, and they have a young, fun team. But this will be fun to watch the Yankees lose to the Astros for like what seems like the 17th time in the last 5 years.
That's what we all got. If you don't have a dog in this fight, you got to be rooting for the Astros to come out and play surprisingly well against the Yankees. If I'm the Astros, I start cheating again. Like I want them to just beat the fuck out of the Yankees, and then to have the Yankees just looking around like, what the hell just happened to us? I want spin rates to be off the chart this series. I want them to be sending out umpires to the pitcher's mound like every 2 innings, looking underneath belts, underneath ball caps. I want them swiping behind ears, not finding anything. I want the Astros to get on the horn of NASA and figure out all the most advanced new ways. Maybe talk to Elon about it. The best new ways to cheat. And I want them to just dominate the Yankees. That would be, in my opinion, good for baseball. Jake is biting his lips because it goes against 2 things that Jake loves right now. 1, the New York
Stella's
Yankees,
back.
and 2, sportsmanship. So
hold on, Jake. Talk about the Yankees while I put Stella's collar in. She's back on the show.
Yeah, so obviously the Astros knocked out the Yankees in the ALCS since 2017 and 2019, and COVID happened right after that. The Astros have returned to Yankee Stadium since then. But I think Yankee Stadium for games 3, 4, and 5, that's going to be back to the front of their minds, and this is revenge for both of those.
Are you saying that the Houston Astros caused COVID with their cheating?
No, I'm saying that they didn't get a full fan reception due to the
Interesting.
delay.
Interesting. You're saying the timing was suspicious.
No.
Jake, do you
all.
give the Yankees any chance in this series? Like they already are kind of fucked. Like I love how everyone was complaining about the weather delay on Monday night. It was raining, but they were saying that the Yankees basically MLB decides whether the game's canceled or not. But people were putting on their tinfoil hats, being like the Yankees did this because they wanted to get their pitching set, but not realizing the downside of this is they literally just beat the Guardians and then have to fly directly to Houston and play the Astros on Wednesday night. And I mean I might just bet the Yankees because their number will be so high, but it feels like you're already starting, like, if you can find a way to win 1 in Houston, it's a series, and if not, it's going to be big-time trouble.
Yeah, listen, obviously it is the very unique turnaround, but this, I said it at the beginning of the Guardian series, it's all on the starting pitching. The starting pitching delivered in this Guardian series, right? Garrett Cole had 2 great games. Nestor Cortez on short rest got 5 innings today. So if their starters are going to have to give you distance in game 1, they're probably not going to have a starter that you can fully trust. I think Tyone might be going. I'm not entirely sure, but Cole was the reason they got those games 1 and 4 wins. So we'll see.
What about the fact that Garrett Cole is kind of a head case? Do you think he's figured it out mentally?
He'll be fine.
All right.
That's
You
not.
see him? He shrugged off the podium. He said that's cute about the rocking the baby.
Yeah. Well, they'd already won, right? Yeah. So I mean, he also did the too short to Garrett Cole, which is weird because isn't Garrett Cole like 6'4"?
I think he's a solid size. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if he was doing like an ironic you're too short thing to him.
Rocking the baby when you're losing the baseball game is
It was a crazy move. It was a crazy move, but I don't know. It had the fans fired up, and
Maybe
I love that shit. I love shit talking. I saw Ben Verlander, Justin's brother who covers baseball, was actually upset about it, which is nice to know. Like, he's a new school baseball media guy, knowing that like there still is some old school curmudgeon in every even new school baseball guy. Where I got to find his tweet. He was actually kind of upset, which made me laugh very hard because how could you be upset about that?
It's maybe not the worst strategy of all time to do that when you're losing, because maybe you'll get lucky and they'll just bean the guy behind you in the lineup and boom, you get another guy on base. Like it might be a good way to start a rally.
All right, here it is. This is wild. This is from Ben Verlander. This is wild. Josh Naylor was rounding the bases, rocking a baby, and calling Garrett Cole his son. I'm a fan of bat flips and celebrating your work, but don't make it disrespectful. This is quite disrespectful. That's awesome. Like he's new media, and it's like just passing the torch, because you need at least one or two baseball writers to just be upset about everything at all times.
Yeah, I want like a teenager out there yelling at players like, pull your pants up.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. And then the Fightins up 1-0 as we're taping this.
Bryce went yard.
Yeah, so we'll see. We mentioned at the beginning, but Max is going to a game this weekend. We'll hopefully get video of that. Him just half screaming, half crying about every play and showing his true Philly. So it's going to be great. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, NBA started. Hank, I have a question for you. Why are the Celtics wearing the Bucks uniforms?
They're the new city jerseys for Bill Russell. So if you don't like them, then you don't respect.
Well, I already
and
have
also
a-
one of the greatest
So just watch
civil
your
rights icons
words
as well.
I was just asking because it confused me, and Nike has ruined like NBA jerseys where every team has 15 jerseys and they all they just look totally different. The Celtics are another one of those teams that's a classic jersey. Why would you mess with a classic jersey?
Celtics have never made an alternate jersey that's better than their green
Because it's a
or
classic
whites or their
jersey.
white
Yeah,
jerseys.
that's what I'm saying. Like we talked about it with
correct.
the Steelers and the Packers. Like why
Maybe the
why
black
would you mess
ones,
with
yeah.
something that is already kind of perfect? Like the Knicks, when the Knicks remember when the Knicks wear their like Halloween jerseys? It's like, why would you mess with something that is beautiful to begin with? Alternate jerseys are for franchises with no history. I'm going to say that. That's a take. That's my take.
Correct.
But they're Bill Russell
But
specific.
Yeah.
The
Those
Commanders
are
look
cool,
pretty
but I'm
sick
just
in
saying,
black
like,
ones.
Well, the Commanders, they don't have
That's true.
history. They're 1 year old.
Oh yeah,
I'm just
exactly,
saying,
Hank.
when
we're trying to start a
alternate
tradition
jerseys
right now.
work for like the Oregon Ducks, and this is now very ironic that I'm doing this take right after I made fun of Ben Verlander, but the NBA has there's so many jerseys now, and I mean I had this take 3 years ago when who was it? It was the Blazers and the Nuggets were playing, and the Nuggets were playing with the Blazers jerseys, and it was like, what's going on? Or when the Heat made the playoffs and they were wearing the Pacers jerseys. I do sound like an old man.
Yeah,
Whatever.
it's got to be the same color. No, but I agree though that the fact that the Celtics are wearing green jerseys, but they're not.
Right.
they're
They have a
typical
perfect
greens,
jersey.
it's just kind of
Don't
a
mess with the
strange
perfect
move.
jersey. Okay. Anything else before we do hot seat, cool throne?
Yeah, can I change
Nope.
my picks for the
You're
NBA
locked in with the
championship
Nugs.
this year?
I've been
thinking about
been
that
a
all
Nuggets
day.
guy through and through.
I got cut off in traffic by a guy with a Nuggets bumper sticker today. It's just been everywhere around me. My pick that I know I'm gonna,
All credibility.
I mean, I'm going to lose all credibility as far as
Yeah.
What do we call it?
We're Ball is
round
Life
ball head?
podcast, and you're going to lose all credibility. But you
Yeah,
have to stick with it because you've
all
been
my-
saying
all my
for
hoop cred.
like it feels like 5 years now that once the Nuggets get healthy, it feels like 5 years.
2
Once
years.
the Nuggets get healthy, watch
it's
out.
2 years.
I know.
Dude, Jamal Murray's
Michael
back.
Porter Jr..
And he's looking really good right now. Michael Porter Jr.'s back. We've got the big quesarito showing some love on the inside.
It's going to be the Nugs year. Okay. Also, Draymond Green. Did you guys see? They did like.
Yeah. I had that on
Okay. All
my
right. Let's
cool
get to hot seat,
throne.
cool
It
throne
was
then. All right.
preposterous.
Hot seat, cool throne brought to you by our friends at Coors Light. This season, make time to chill out and catch the game at your favorite bar. And while you're at it, order an ice cold Coors Light, the beer that's made to chill. Coors Light is the beer of college football. Protect your chill this season with Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Drizzly or Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/take. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. CoorsLight.com/take. Okay, Hank, hot seat, cool throne.
My hot seat is our darling Jake. Jake Marsh. He has been keeping track of our NFL weekly picks.
Yeah, I noticed that
And-
there was no update.
Well, no. So he tweeted. Someone tweeted at him last night, and they're like, "Can we see the standings, please?" And Jake tweeted out a screenshot. I'll send you guys.
You guys
the
have
link, or Jake,
access
you can
to
send the link.
the
He
sheet.
tweeted out a screenshot of an Excel sheet that showed the stats, and I've never seen a person get dunked harder.
no.
Like, the cells were a disaster. Excel bros left
Finance
and right
bros.
were just absolutely crushing him.
Dude,
Dude, do you
Crushing
even
him.
macro?
It was one of the worst displays of
Excel-
macro selling I've ever seen.
XL bros
in my
will come
long
at you hard.
history.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
you have to realize that's all they have. So you can't fuck with what they have. Like
Right.
that's and a guy. I will say this for XL bros: if you've ever watched someone use Excel the way it's supposed to be used, it is actually like mind blowing. Because I think everyone in the world, everyone listening to this podcast, has applied to a job out of college where they wrote on their resume proficient in Microsoft Excel. And 99.9% of us are not. We just knew how to open it up and like write a word in it. The people who actually know how to use it and make all kinds of weird formulas, they're geniuses. So when you fuck with them, they get upset.
Jim
Yeah.
Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh would
yeah.
have your ass on this one, Jake.
They were really
the
mad.
Microsoft Excel guys, have you ever seen they have Excel championships, like
Yes, on ESPN
competitions
too.
on TV
Yeah.
where you can, it's like Twitch, people using Microsoft Excel. It's fascinating. I talked with this dude who was an executive at Microsoft at my old job way back in the day. He was like coming through our office and he was like, Microsoft Excel is the most advanced, most beautiful, simplistic, perfect piece of software that humans will ever create. And he sold me. I was like, yeah, I fucking love Excel.
like
even though all I know how to do is just up arrow, down arrow, click, type.
Yeah, I've
Yep.
used Excel for two
They
things
have
in my
Excel
life.
keyboards.
Both of which the templates were built for me prior by someone else. The two things are plugging in our picks and my broadcasting charts. So
Yeah,
the system works.
you're not proficient.
Bro, you gotta use the round
Yeah.
feature.
The
You gotta
system
format
works.
to
I used it
percent.
last year, and I'm not going to change it.
You got to
Brother,
keep you
brother
got to keep
using some in the title, 15 decimal places, crying emoji.
you know Jake, you are like a mini perfectionist, but I'm telling you that as your boss, you have to don't change anything, and every week you need to tweet out the screenshot.
Yes, and
Just
only
to keep
people
getting
listening
people
to this
upset.
episode will be in on the
Yes.
joke.
Yes,
In
Love
fact,
exactly.
Done
Make
deal.
it worse.
Yeah, make it worse.
Should I add like 20 more decimals?
yeah, just make it.
Yeah.
Just figure out a way to make it even worse.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, Hank.
Then my cool throw is Draymond Green. He managed to turn him almost killing one of his teammates in a disgusting move. Pat Beverly talked about it on the Pat Bev show, where it's like that just doesn't happen. I think it's especially because football, there's fights all the time where people are like, oh, fight in training camp or whatever. But like teammates don't just punch each other in the face and knock them out cold. And he took that, didn't get a suspension or anything, just took some time away from the team, and then has a show on TNT where he like made it. He like glorified it basically. He glorified himself assaulting his teammate and looking so like immature, childish, and just bad.
It was a masterclass in how to use your children to shield you. Like that was when he was like, yeah, I was just playing with my kids. And then there was a slow-mo of his daughter running into his open arms. Like this is where when I make the joke father of two and people like will joke about it, like this is what people actually do where like they'll hit a controversy and they'll be like, well, I'm a father. So I could never have been a bad person.
It was
It's like, no, there's a lot of bad dads out there. That's actually totally like a lot of people who've committed a lot of crimes are fathers. But I saw it and I was like, just chef's kiss. to be like, yeah, I was playing with my kids when the video got leaked, and I didn't even notice how the internet reacted because I was just with my kids, and I was just, enjoying the moment with my kids. And here's a slow-mo of me with my kids just to prove that I was with my kids.
Also, his first explanation behind it was that he dropped the line unironically, hurt people, which I fucking love that line. So he's like, really, I was damaged. And so because I was feeling so much pain, I had to make somebody else feel so much pain. It's like when people wave the therapy magic wand, and don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I think therapy is great. I've been to therapy before. I think more people should go to therapy. It's a very useful thing that you can do. But when you say like, I can't really be held accountable like Kevin Spacey or whatever for, those dozens of people that I raped because I'm going to therapy right now and I'm working on myself. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like you can't you can't play the therapy card and then automatically everything that you've done up to that point is forgiven.
Yeah. He did the double whammy, the therapy and father card. What were you going to say, Hank, to finish it off?
Oh, when he was watching, I was like, this is like if Rico Bosco made this tape where he was like, I have the moment where I almost like the lowest moment of my life on camera, and that's a good thing. It's like, what? But it made me just want to do a remake with Rico. That's what I was thinking when I was watching. I was like, this is preposterous. Like, imagine if we had done that. Like, imagine if we tried to spin that into a positive. Like,
and I'm just going to take a shot in the dark. I think Draymond Green probably would have preferred that moment to never be leaked.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to wonder.
Well, like
how
Cool
many
Throne,
other
he took the moment and turned it into like a special on his TV show. Like,
but that's why Draymond is a sneaky genius for doing all this media stuff. Like all the stuff that he does in games. All I want to know after it's over is like, what is Draymond's actual explanation for why he did that during the game? And then boom, he's got his own podcast, so I can go listen to it right away. Like the world is content for Draymond Green. Everything is content.
Also, just this really has nothing to do with any of it, but he has very white teeth, and that always helps me believe you. Not too white. If your teeth are too white, where it's like Rex Ryan, you're like, what's going on here? He just had like very nice white teeth, and I'm like, I kind of believe this guy.
That's fair.
I don't know. It's something about it. So, all right, PFT, your hot seat, Cool Throne.
My hot seat is the Houston Texans' moral character as an organization. They've had a great couple years, but it sounds like they're losing their rock. They have fired Jack Easterby. They've unfortunately decided to cut ties and move on from Jack Easterby. If you don't know Jack Easterby, he was part-time character coach, part-time stand-up comedian, and then full-time Rasputin. I think his official title was Executive Vice President of Football Operations. If you go back and you look at Jack Easterby's career, I'm like obsessed with this guy because the stand-up stuff that he's done is it's groundbreaking material. But if you go back and you look at what he did in New England, he was their character coach there. And basically his job was to like hang out in the cafeteria and make everybody uncomfortable around him. And they brought him in like after Aaron Hernandez, all that situation went down to try to like clean the team up a little bit. And when he applied to work there, he falsified his resume and he pulled an unironic Dwight Schrute. So he was right out of college. He was like an assistant to the director of football operations for the Jaguars. And then by the time he got to the Patriots and applied there, he said that he was the assistant director of football operations to the Jaguars as like a 22-year-old. And then he carried that over, got hired by the Texans, became literally like their Rasputin, and convinced Bill O'Brien to trade away DeAndre Hopkins, even though he had no background whatsoever as a football guy. He was just kind of like a preacher that hung out. And so now the Houston Texans won't have any character. So that's got to be bad news for them.
Yeah, it's that's a crazy story, especially because this guy like wrecked your entire franchise. And Deshaun Watson had something to do with that. But and then to have him get fired, you're like, wait, if he's gonna wreck it, like at least keep him around, and maybe he could be an accidental genius at some point.
Well, the timing's really weird on it because he's already destroyed the franchise, and like the Deshaun Watson thing, I have a feeling that he was maybe working with Deshaun Watson, like with some of the NDA stuff or team. I have no evidence to back this up whatsoever. I just want to be clear about that. But his job was kind of to make Deshaun Watson happy after the whole Bill O'Brien thing happened and try to convince Deshaun Watson to stick around. So the timing of firing him right now it's pretty strange. Oh, and also when they went out to pick their new GM, he was like, oh yeah, any competent general manager is going to want to fire my ass. So I'm going to make sure that the owner hires my buddy from the Patriots, Nick Cassero, to come in to be the GM because maybe he won't fire me immediately. Well, after like a year, he got fired. So go check out Jack Easterby's stand-up tapes if you haven't already. When he talks about how like people out in Los Angeles have surfer voices, or how people in Houston Texans wear like giant belt buckles, it's really funny stuff. So give it a look. It's awesome. And then my cool throne is DJ Chark, because he just had a baby. So we're putting him in the baby bonanza, or I guess his wife or girlfriend, whoever had a baby. But he's a father now. So it's Baby Chark this weekend. And we're putting that on the Barstool Sports book.
Yes.
And it'll have a baby boost on there for part of my take. So check it out right now.
Okay, my hot seat is the Rats of New York City. So I don't know if you guys saw this, but there was they basically made an ordinance in New York City that they're going to delay trash pickup. Like they're going to do limited hours for trash pickup, so people shouldn't leave their trash on the streets unless it's their time, because they're trying to fight the rats. And they had a press conference, and this reporter Emma Court quoted some things from the press conference. I want to read some of them for you, because it's essentially like George W. Bush being like, we're going to find the terrorists. That's how like serious they're taking this rat situation.
Now watch this drive.
One of the quotes were, "There are many rivers that are feeding the sea of rodents in the city, and today we're damming one of them. The biggest swing you can take in cleaning up our streets is shutting down the all-night, all-you-can-eat rat buffet. Rats will hate this announcement. The rats don't run this city. We do. This is not Ratatouille. Rats are not our friends. New Yorkers will not have to fear as many rats hiding in late-night shadows."
It sounds like something that Batman would say when announcing that, like, we're taking Bane out.
The rats don't run this city. We do. It's
I tend to disagree.
If you have to say that, I think the rats run the city.
I think the rats definitely run the city, and also we've seen we've seen some of the late night rat buffets, and there's something else. Why don't you know what I've seen happen a couple times around my neighborhood, at least? They have these things called dachshund clubs, and like dachshunds, the dogs, the like little short-legged things. They're actually bred to hunt and kill rats. That's what they naturally do. They have dachshund clubs that meet up together, and then they just let their dogs off leashes, and they just sprint around killing rats all night. It's pretty metal.
That is pretty metal. I mean, it's in Chicago. It's usually the rats stay in the alleys because that's where all the trash is, and then every now and then you'll go in an alley and there'll just be notices everywhere that basically are like, we just lit off a nuclear bomb in this alley. Yeah. So be careful. And that's also like very metal, where it's like, it was biological warfare in this alley. So if you drop any food, don't try to eat it for a little bit, because there's a lot of shit going on. But yeah, the rats don't run this city. We do. And saying the rats will hate this announcement.
One weird trick. Rats hate it.
Man. And then my cool throne is all of us, because Taco Bell Steal a Taco's back.
Oh,
which
nice.
I feel like it's always back, but it's back. They made the announcement, so now we get a free taco when someone steals a base in the World Series, which is always fun.
It's the best promo.
It really is.
Yeah, best promo.
It really is. We should do steal a base, get a free subscription to Pardon My Take.
I like that.
Hit a homer, hit a dinger, maybe if there's a grand slam in the World Series, we will give away a free subscription to Pardon My Take.
And I'm going to match that.
Okay. So everyone root for a grand slam in the World Series, and we will then drop the links for everyone to subscribe for free.
That's beautiful.
Should we do a grand slam? Should we
do like a 6-3 ground out?
We could do the podcast and YouTube, and maybe if there's
I don't think now we're sounding kind of thirsty. I feel like we'll give away a YouTube subscription.
Thirsty,
but I'm saying
YouTube subscription, yeah.
Yeah, we don't want to give everything away. Let's give away a YouTube subscription if there's a balk.
Okay, a balk or a grand slam.
Okay.
A balk or a grand slam, free YouTube subscription to Pardon My Take. We're not going to be able to afford this.
No. You're taking
we'll
away
figure it out later.
Pretty much you're reducing my salary to 2 apes per episode.
Yeah. We might have to fire Billy.
All my apes gone.
Don't subscribe. Otherwise, we might have to. Billy, your hot seat cool throne. That was a joke, Billy.
Hopefully
I love you.
I can hear you guys. Okay.
You didn't even hear the joke. Okay,
My
good.
hot seat is Tom Brady. He compared playing in the NFL like deploying overseas and fighting a war because you don't see your family. And a lot of people are calling him out for that, saying it's pretty BS.
Yeah, a lot of great quarterbacks steal valor.
So I was going to say this for my Firefest, but I have to say it now. I was in Chicago on Monday. Hank and I went to look at offices, and so I flew in, flew back. So it was a long day. I was coming back. I was in O'Hare, and I was sitting by the gate, and because there was no seats, it was packed, and they made the announcement like military service members can please board the plane. So I got up because I was like, oh, I got to get up because I got to get ready to go in like when they start actually boarding people. So I got up to get out of the way because I was kind of in the gateway. And a person walked by and was like, thank you for your service. And it was thrilling. It was thrilling because they thought I was getting up to go on the plane. And I was just like, I get why Billy steals valor every day. Like,
No,
it
it
was
is
a great
awkward
moment.
because AWLs come up to me and say thank you. And it's like,
No.
what do I say? Like, no, stop.
No, I said you're welcome, and it felt great. And I had this moment where I was like almost like zapped into your life, and I was like, I understand why Billy wears the camo and wears the fake purple metal and all that stuff. Like, it makes sense to me now.
Well, he might have also been thanking you for your service as a podcaster, which
That's
is
true.
I get that a lot. I've never stolen valor, but people do see me and they're like, you know what? You go behind a microphone every day and you speak hard truths. Thank you, sir. You know, the First Amendment,
power.
Without the First Amendment, you don't have the Second. So,
Yep.
and don't get me started on the third with quartering soldiers. But if somebody says to me, thank you for my service as a podcaster, it's almost like an everyday thing for me right now. And I'm comfortable saying you're welcome.
Yeah. Billy, your cool throne.
My cool throne is humans. If you've been seeing the news recently, humans have been taking tons of W's against bears and just dishing out bears L's. There was a video of a dude fighting a bear and throwing him off a cliff. And then there was another story of two Wyoming wrestlers beating the bear off and beating the shit out of a bear and getting him away from him and surviving a grizzly attack.
That feels not cool.
Yeah, so we're
Feels
up
like a
to
BuzzFeed Steve Irwin right now.
we're up two on
Like,
bears.
this-
Yeah, what?
Watch this human.
Why
watch
is
this
that
bear
cool to
take a-
kill bears?
No,
watch
they
this
didn't
bear-
kill them. They just fought him off.
Look at the
hand to
stingray.
hand.
Oh, talk about a major fail.
No, but
But one of them threw him off a cliff.
yeah, because the bear tried to attack him.
Right, but we're in the
Yeah, but that guy was probably in
No,
the
no.
Bears.
yeah, the
home.
bear. We're in the Bears
if
like
you
crib.
haven't seen this video, I posted it to my Twitter. This guy, a bear comes out of nowhere and tries to attack him, and then he falls off the cliff, and then he hits the bear that's trying to
But
attack
wait.
him, and it's all on GoPro.
Wait, but again, the bear didn't come out of nowhere. He came out of his house.
It's just,
Also, yeah, what was the guy wearing?
yeah. I mean, but it's just we're just
question.
humans.
I
are
think it
up
was
on
actually
bears.
it was a female bear. It was a female bear, and she had her bear cubs with her. So she thought that the human was trying to take her cubs away.
That is true.
She was just defending
but
herself.
We're up on. Bears.
I just always, as a principal, and this is someone who probably because I
So
don't.
a mother lost her life.
Well, the
and her
bear's
kids
not
are
actually
orphans,
dead.
And you're
The bear's not
it's a
dead. It just
W?
ran
Oh, the
away.
bear's not dead.
Just ran away.
Just
It's just a
maimed.
sick video. of
I
a
actually
dude
think
punching a
that
bear in
what's
the
happening
face.
right now is actually it's a major dub for bears because we're talking about bears. We're watching all their content right now, and we're like, oh fuck, I would shit myself if a bear came
Yeah.
at me like that in the woods. It's making us as humans more fearful of them when in reality we probably shouldn't be that afraid of them. But it's putting out like fear porn propaganda on behalf of the bears. So I say that's a major win for the bears.
I'm also, I'm a city guy, and I don't really go deep into nature, but I always root for the animals. Always. I just always root for the animals.
Jake
I
doesn't
do.
like that.
I rooted for Harambe.
Oh, this is
Yeah.
a crazy video. Billy, you are kind of like you. This is your second animal video with millions of
I just
views.
get them.
Yeah,
I get
you're
them
the animal
first,
guy.
and I credit them when I find where they came from. For the record,
Yeah, because I was going to say you don't get them first. You find them
You
first.
just take them off. You fight, get them
well,
off.
you gotta
right.
be.
You don't
You
get
gotta
them
be part of the
first.
right Reddit and WhatsApp group chats.
Oh,
I don't want to know what the WhatsApp group chats. I don't want to know what the
Bear
wrong
attacks.
WhatsApp group chats look like.
Okay, Jake, finish us off, and then we'll get to Andy Staples and Joe Burrow.
My hot seat is James Corden.
Yeah. Fuck
He
him.
was
Banned from
briefly
part of
banned.
my take.
Yeah, he was briefly
Yeah.
banned by New York City's Balthazar,
I would
but the
have
real
him on.
story
I
is
think
he's
we should.
permanently banned from this show, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he's banned from this.
No,
show.
banned, Hank.
I think
No,
now.
fuck him.
You know what, Hank? You're banned too.
Yeah.
Think about the views.
That
Fine.
would be interesting.
He can come on Pardon My Take, but he has to be in person, and Billy has to serve him a 7-course meal while he's being interviewed.
And they all have to be made by Billy and just completely fucked up. And if he complains one time, I'm going to kick him in his teeth.
Reports say he was the
Yeah.
most abusive customer at the restaurant.
Well, and this guy, quite a situation he got himself in, because he apparently has defended Woody. What's the
Woody
weird
Allen?
guy's name?
Woody Allen?
Woody Allen. He was friends with Jizzy Maxwell. He was friends with Jeffrey Epstein. So he made this like public post, and everyone's like, "Hey, wait, you're not a good guy." And then he immediately was like, "James Corden called me and apologized. We're good."
It's like the shrimp toast crunch guy or Bean Dad.
Dude, how about Emu Girl? Did you see she got canceled?
I did see that. Yeah.
Yes. I couldn't find
Why? Because all her birds
all
died?
her birds died. She apparently like
That's
is
just
part
sad.
of like she's going to start another pandemic, and I heard people were saying that she's racist. I couldn't find the racist stuff, but it was just the fact that people are still heartbroken when some random person goes viral and then we find out they're a bad person. That's like internet 1.0. That's been happening for so long now. You can't fall in love with these people.
Wait, is Emmanuel, is he okay? Or did he die too?
I think he's racist.
I think he's life support right now.
99% of the birds died.
He might be dead.
Are the emus
No, I
racist?
saw he drink water for the first time on his own.
Oh, so you're
A few
following
days
this story.
yesterday. Yeah. I like the
Is
bird
she
girl.
racist? People were saying she's racist.
I didn't know. I did not.
I
know
couldn't.
I did not see that.
It also could have been like people just said she was racist, and then no one actually proved
I thought it was more like people like just hate her.
right. Because I couldn't find the
didn't
racism,
know.
so I was like, "What's going on here?"
I'm looking
Billy's
it up right
cutting in and
now.
out.
They're calling her the racist emu girl.
Yeah, right. That's
I feel like you're going to have to be more specific than that.
I couldn't figure out why. Oh man! All right, Jake, you're cool.
My
throwing.
cool throne.
Finding out the emu girl is racist and that her kissing Emmanuel is a serious public health issue.
Yeah,
No,
but I
wait,
can't
no, that's
find where she was
bullshit.
racist. So
Oh, wait. Okay. So 2012, she's got some posts. Okay. I'm going to read some of her posts just out loud for the first time. Don't. I shouldn't. You dare me to? Like no
yeah.
filter?
oh,
No,
I
do it,
see
do
it
it, do
too.
it, do
No,
it.
don't. I'm looking at them now too. Yes.
Okay. Should I do
Don't.
it?
Shorbo, no, Shorbo.
Schwarber just hit a bomb.
He fucking tanked it.
Fucking
it
loved
was
it.
a beast
Sad.
of a bomb.
Said
I love that
Max,
shit.
give it to us.
face
Give us
got
the
so
play-by-play
red.
right now.
I don't know what else to say. It was he just hit an upper decker. You know what a
Give
you
us
know what a
your Philly.
Shorbo's like. It's the best.
I know what
It's
a fucking
best.
Shorbo
488. Oof.
Damn, that's a hammer time. I put a bet on Harper to go yard, Schwarber to go yard, and then I've got Castellanos to go yard. I'm trying to get the
Oh,
big
wow.
three right now.
That would be crazy. You got 2 down.
Wait,
all
oh
right,
yeah,
so-
I was about to read this one, but that one's got the N-word in it too.
Yeah. No,
Okay,
there's-
this is bad.
All right, so I disavowed the emu girl. I hope her bird dies.
My
Okay.
cool throne is the Inside the NBA crew. They all signed long-term extensions, so that fantastic pregame show will be with us for the foreseeable future.
That's great. I heard that Charles Barkley is getting like $100 million
Something like
contract
that.
right now from Turner or something like that. Masterful use of Saudi Arabia as being the big money in the room. That's how you do it right there for Sir Charles. Just be like, I'll take money from anybody and then get a massive raise when he returns back to TNT.
Yeah, so that's a pregame
Yeah,
show
big
with
time.
high approval rating. If you're looking for an NBA podcast with a high approval rating, check out the Pat Bev Pod. Episode 1 dropped
Yeah.
today.
Love it. Love it. Okay, good hot seat, cool thrones, everyone. Let's do Andy Staples and Joe Burrow. It's brought to you by our friends at CrossCountry Mortgage. You have to live somewhere. Might as well own it. Unless you are more interested in paying someone else's mortgage, it's a good time to buy when you're ready to buy. CCM listens, understands, and communicates throughout the loan process, provide more loan options tailored to your financial capabilities, and its innovative technology focuses on what's important to fulfill your loan needs. Faster closing time, and it has stable monthly payments and low to no down payments. Talk to CrossCountry Mortgage today. Even if you're not ready to buy right now, have the conversation, start building your equity. And who doesn't love swag? Get a free Barstool and CrossCountry Mortgage sweatshirt when you sign up to refi or get pre-approval while supplies last, of course. See if you qualify today. Visit ccm.com/Barstool now. CrossCountry Mortgage LLC, NMLS 3029. All loans subject to underwriting approval. www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org. Okay, here he is, Andy Staples. Okay, we welcome on our good friend, college football expert. You can find him on The Athletic. You can listen to the Andy Staples podcast. You can hear him on Sirius XM. It is Andy Staples. We're here to talk some college football. What a season it has been. What a Saturday it was. So let's start there. I have a couple questions on the Tennessee-Alabama game, but I think you probably do this too, Andy, sometimes where a big game happens and you talk about the losers more than the winners. So I don't want to fall into that trap. And let's talk about Tennessee. Is Tennessee all the way back? And even if they lose to Georgia, are they still all the way back? Because I want them to be back. It's fun to have Tennessee back.
This is the best Tennessee team since the two you led to a national title,
Yep.
for sure. But are they all the way back? I don't know that yet. They roped Alabama into playing their style of game, which Alabama almost played as well as them in one of the most intense environments you'll ever see. So I don't know that I'm ready to crown Tennessee quite yet, but I will say I don't know there's a lot of defenses in the country that are going to be able to stop them. I think you're going to have to beat them in a shootout. That's what's interesting to me as you go forward, like, because in a couple of weeks they play Kentucky. Like Kentucky just shut down Mississippi State. Could they slow down Tennessee enough? I don't know if they can. I don't know. And Georgia may be able to, but I could see Georgia beating them by outscoring them, because Georgia has a bunch of different ways to beat you offensively. But can Tennessee compete with anybody in the country right now? Yeah, they absolutely can. Could they compete for the SEC title? Yes, they could beat Georgia. They could go to the SEC title game. Or if you really want to make non-SEC people's heads explode, you can talk about what if they lose close to Georgia. Georgia and Alabama play a classic SEC championship game, and Tennessee slips into the playoff that way. It's possible that could happen. They've got to figure out how to make sure they keep winning. I mean, it's hard because these are guys that have not had a ton of success in their careers. So they've got to learn how to deal with this level of success. Now, playing UT Martin this week, I think helps them. So if they had to play Kentucky this week, I would be putting my life savings on Kentucky to cover.
Yeah.
Because it's the ultimate letdown spot. But right now, I think they're in a good spot.
Yeah.
Do we know if their defense is bad? Do we officially know that? Because the style of play that their offense plays, their defense is exhausted because they get on the field so much. So I don't think we really have a barometer like whether or not Tennessee's defense is good enough to get them that far.
Okay, so my alma mater, Florida, their defense bordering on bad. And you saw what LSU did to them last weekend. Well, Tennessee's defense shut down LSU's offense. So it may not be that Tennessee's defense is bad. It may be that Tennessee's defense is not the best when playing against the Heisman Trophy winner and his merry band of 5 stars, which is what they had to deal with Alabama. Now, I realize this is not the Alabama receiving core that we've seen over the past few years. It's still a really good offense. Jahmyr Gibbs is an amazing tailback. They've got great players all over the field. So Tennessee did enough to win. Like when you say forcing them to kick a 50-yard field goal is the highlight of your day defensively. Yeah, that was enough. You did enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's it is interesting. I would actually say that Florida's defense is bad, and LSU owns Florida. It's pretty shocking to see.
I gotta live here, Big Cat.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm just saying.
If I say something like that, people are going to be coming at me in the grocery store.
Yeah, they're bad. You can. I'll say it for you. So Alabama, I'm so interested. It's crazy how when Alabama stumbles, it's just fascinating to just see how they come back, how Saban reacts, because they've just been on top for so long. My question, though, is this feel like Alabama is not, they're not fading. They're still, probably going to the college football playoff. But they struggled against Texas. They struggled against Texas A&M. You can go back to last year. They lost to Texas A&M. They struggled against LSU. Like there have been signs where they are not they struggled against your Florida Gators. There have been signs that they are not the Alabama that just rolls people, and even if they slip up once here or there, they come back and they just keep rolling people. Can we do the hey, is Saban losing the fastball? Is he throwing 92 and not 99 now?
Can I put my Dan Wolken hat on and say the Alabama dynasty is dead? No, I will not say that. Like every time somebody says the Alabama dynasty is dead, another 5-star recruit calls Nick Saban and is like, can I come? Can I come?
Yeah.
But what I do think has happened, I blame Kirby Smart for a lot of it. Kirby Smart's been at Georgia now since 2016. And every year he's been there, he's sheared off a few guys that would have signed with Alabama before Kirby Smart was at Georgia. And so you got that. You had Jimbo signing guys that Alabama wanted last year at Texas A&M. You have Tennessee now getting big into the NIL game, getting looks from recruits they hadn't been. You had Florida hiring Billy Napier with the express purpose of get guys that Kirby Smart and Nick Saban want. And so if you sign 20 of those guys a year instead of 25 of the guys that you absolutely want the most, your depth suffers.
Yeah.
That happens. And that's what Alabama was able to just lord over everybody for the longest time is if they had somebody hurt, if they had somebody who wasn't playing particularly well, they just plug in the next one. And it's another potential first rounder. Well, they're still that way in most places, but there's some positions now where they're not as perfect as they have been, and they're susceptible to the same kind of depth issues that normal teams are at certain places. And so if you catch them on the right day, you can beat them. That said, I'm with you. I think they went out, and I don't put it past Nick Saban to have a perfect game plan for an SEC championship game, and they go to the playoff anyway.
So let's have the discussion because I love that narrative of when is Alabama's dynasty officially over? When would it be officially over? Would it be if they don't win 3 championships in a row? Is it 3 consecutive years without a national title and Nick Saban is washed? Is that what we're going to say?
I think that might be what we're going to say. I'll tell you when it is. We'll know when Nick Saban retires because he told me this was 2017. So this is the year they win the national title. They plug into in halftime in the national title game. So this was the week of whatever FCS team they're playing before Auburn. And I'm in his office and I'm asking him all these big picture questions because I was working for SI and I was writing, pre-writing the bulk of the national title game story because you have to have that sucker in before the game starts for the most part. And I'd asked him about, all the different changes in the sport. And he basically said, I will leave before I let it go down. And the implication of that is I will know before any of you idiots do if this is going downhill. And I will make sure that that I give Alabama a chance to put somebody in who will get it back to where it needs to be. Mm-hmm. Now, Nick Saban's idea of where it needs to be and everybody else is probably a very different place. But my guess is he understands better than everybody else. That's why you saw that stuff with Jimbo in the offseason. Right. He's talking about the NIL stuff. It's not so much that he's worried about, they're quote unquote cheating, which they're not, because there are no rules anymore, which is the best way college football should be. But he's saying, I can't make more rich people in Alabama.
Right.
Texas will always have more rich people than Alabama. Tennessee will probably have a similar number of rich people as Alabama, but they don't have an Auburn. And that's the thing that he's thinking about. He's thinking ahead to, okay, how do I dominate this new world? Because things are changing around me. And there's some things that probably are out of my control. Mm-hmm. So I got to work around them.
So Nick Saban to UConn is what you're saying.
Yeah.
A lot of wealth up there.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. No, and I do not think Alabama is done. It's also the bar that Nick Saban has set there, where you have the 2020 Alabama team, and I know it's a COVID year, but that team was so goddamn good, and they just rolled over everyone. The closest game they played was against Florida in the SEC championship game, and I maybe I'm misremembering it, but I never at any point was like Florida's going to win this game. It was like, can Florida cover
It was
this
a 5-point
spread?
game, but Florida would get within like 5, and then Alabama would score another touchdown. Usually.
Right, and that was their closest game, and now they've played in the last 2 years half a dozen games where it's actually been, hey, this is kind of weird, whether it be an actual loss or a game that they skirt by. You're like, oh, this is a close game. They might actually be in trouble. I want to move to the Pac-12 real quick. It's a perfect Pac-12 season where, like, it's actually a better than normal Pac-12 season because I think there actually are good teams, but they all just cannibalize each other, so we'll end up with no Pac-12 participant. My question, though, is do you think when Lincoln Riley went to USC, did anyone tell him, like, hey, I know that you don't want to be in the SEC, but having to play at Utah is like the worst thing in the world. Like, you're just never going to win there. If it gets dark, like it was watching that game, it was essentially like Utah sucked and then the sun went down and Utah came alive. Do you think anyone let him know in on that little dirty secret that playing against Kyle Whittingham at night in Utah is probably the toughest place in the country to play?
Nobody ever tells anybody that secret. And I've been to night games at Utah. They're incredible. The mighty Utah student section is loud. That stadium is the perfect size. They're right on top of you. You know, you're looking at that U in the mountain. It's rocks in the mountain. Like, it's not a fun place to play at all. And the issues that Lincoln Riley teams had at Oklahoma seem to be the same as Lincoln Riley's USC team. Like, they don't dominate you up front and they don't cover very well. And so I think you're going to have a problem when you play a UCLA this year. If you wind up playing in Oregon in the Pac-12 title game, that's a problem too. Now, can they fix that? Sure. They can get a pretty good level of recruit along the line of scrimmage that maybe didn't want to come to Oklahoma when they were in the Big 12. I actually think once Oklahoma's in the SEC, that level of player will want to go to Oklahoma too. But they're the same issues wise that they were at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And we'll see if they figure that part out. That may be an off-season figure it out kind of situation, because I don't know there's much you can do about it right now.
Who do you have coming out of the Pac-12? Like, if you had to pick right now, and it's too bad because I think even if UCLA is the only hope at this point to run the table, and because Oregon could run the table, but everyone will just point to the week 1 game against Georgia and be like, no, thanks, we don't want that again. So do you think it's going to be just everyone cannibalizing each other? I mean, I know UCLA plays Oregon this weekend, but is it the Pac-12 is pretty much on the outside looking in yet again?
I'm not giving up on them yet, but yes, that Georgia loss for Oregon just hangs over the whole league, and it sucks that anybody else might get smeared with that brush. But I think if UCLA runs the table, they got a shot. I think a one-loss UCLA might have a shot as well. And I'm curious. Right now, I'm still leaning Oregon. But if UCLA goes in there and rams the ball down their throat like they have everybody else, I'm probably all in on the Bruins at that point, because I like the way they play. I think they run the ball so well. Charbonnet is just a beast, especially like Charbonnet will drag guys for 3-4 yards. And DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, their quarterback, he can run really well. But then when he's running and Charbonnet's running well, it opens up the pass game. You got Jake Bobo, the transfer from Duke, who's been fantastic. So I really like what UCLA has become. And I'll admit, I was surprised. I didn't know if Chip Kelly was ever going to be able to get it back there.
It will be so awesome if Chip Kelly crashes the party. Like, after it felt like he was, had a few years at UCLA where everyone just kind of forgot about it, and it was trending towards, oh, they'll just have to fire Chip Kelly in a couple of years because they never really broke through, and now he could break through this year. It's fun.
Oh yeah, and the thing with Chip Kelly was, he created a paradigm shift in the sport. Like, he took advantage of a change in the clock rules to create an offense that nobody knew what to do with. And that was my big question with him going to UCLA, coming back from the NFL, was, can you build in a more standard way? Because you had this innovation that no one could deal with. By the time you got back, everybody had caught up with it. And it reminds me a little bit of Steve Spurrier, because Steve Spurrier in the 90s had the fun and gun and nobody knew what to do with it in the SEC because it was like a 3 yards in a cloud of dust league. Well, they started hiring defensive coaches specifically to stop it. He gets back to the SEC at South Carolina in 2005, tries to run the fun and gun, and they can't move the ball at all. And so what he did is he borrowed Appalachian State's offense. And when they had those really good teams at South Carolina, they were running Appalachian State's offense. Well, what you've seen with Chip Kelly is he's evolved. He's not worried about running at light speed anymore because that worked then. That's not what necessarily works now. But what he's done is created a pretty good ground and pound offense that the rest of his league doesn't seem ready for.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can we talk jobs real quick? I love talking
Absolutely.
jobs just in general. So we don't talk about another man's job, but Brian Harsin probably gone, right? These guys have families. We don't want to say anything bad about them. They're probably only
There's nothing you could say that
buyouts.
some internet people didn't say about his family that wasn't true. In the offseason. So now he's going to get $12 million to not work. It's a pretty good deal. No offset, by the way. Next job doesn't even count against it. So
I love it.
It's a weird situation at Auburn because like the team has not quit on him. So I think that's why he hasn't been fired yet. But clearly he will not be the coach at Auburn in 2023. The problem for Harsin, and while I disagree with the methodology of the coup attempt, because it was pretty gross what some of the folks tried to do to him this past offseason and Auburn trying to find dirt so they could fire him for free. But the reason they did it is because his first year at Auburn, they looked at his recruiting and they're like, did you go after anybody that Nick Saban and Kirby Smart wanted? Did you even try? And the answer was no. He really thought he could out-evaluate Nick Saban and Kirby Smart, not realizing that they get the best players, but they're also better at evaluating than most people too. So that was the biggest problem. And it was never going to work there. So now you have this awkward dance where they haven't hired an AD yet. Eventually they'll make the move and he will get his money. And then we'll see a whole new circus around Auburn as they try to hire another coach.
Yeah.
We were joking about Matt Rule and how Matt Rule might have to take a step back in the next program that he goes to. So I suggested Auburn as being like one of those second or third level. People got very mad at me about that. But I feel like Auburn it's a weird situation where it's a top job, but it also kind of sucks because you're not Alabama.
Okay, so you're not Alabama. Your two biggest traditional rivals are Alabama and Georgia, which are probably the top two of the top three teams in the sport right now. And they get the best players. They're the top two recruiting teams in the sport. So you're going to be judged against them. But here's the thing, and this is where I look at it differently, because my dream job is to be a fired SEC coach. The problem is I'm never going to be good enough to be a hired SEC coach. Mm-hmm. But if you can get past that, then you're in good shape because nobody gives out buyouts like Auburn.
Yeah.
Gus Malzahn got $21 million. Brian Harsin's going to get $12 million. So I say, take the Auburn job, deal with all the crap, and you're going to be able to buy your own island.
Yeah.
Who doesn't sign up for that?
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
True.
That's the difference in mentality though. Like, because somebody that has a normal everyday person's mentality would never get good enough at coaching college football to be that successful.
Yeah.
So it's a catch-22. So if you're Matt Rule and you're looking at the potential open jobs in college football, first of all, you think Matt Rule could just come back and take over like a solid top tier program right now? Would they be lucky to have him, or is he going to have to like maybe go back a couple steps and work his way back up?
No, I think Matt Rule can get a pretty good job right now, and I think would do a very good job. You look at what he did at Baylor, which was in a really bad place when he got there, but he'd not worked in Texas before. He did a great job of hiring people who could kind of guide him there and help him recruit there and understand the landscape there. One of them was a guy named Joey McGuire, who was a longtime high school coach in Texas, who was so good at Baylor that he became the head coach at Texas Tech. And that's what he is now. But Rule's smart enough to know that you have to put those people, like Harsin went to Auburn, but didn't want to do that. You know, Rule would do that. I don't think Rule will take Auburn or really be in the mix for that. If I had to guess, Rule might want like a Wisconsin type job, but it looks like Jim Leonhard. Like, I think, Big Cat, you know this better than I do, but I think the timing of the firing of Paul Chryst was to give Jim Leonhard enough runway so that they could give him the job. So that would be the one I'd look at for Rule. My guess is he does TV and then waits this cycle out and sees what's available next cycle, because unlike Brian Harsin at Auburn, Matt Rule did have an offset in his contract to Carolina. So whatever he makes in his next job comes out of the buyout. So he's making the same amount of money either way. So why don't I just go talk on ESPN for a year, chill, and then come back refreshed, rejuvenated at a job that you like a lot.
Yeah. And it's also for me, it's Matt Rule's a fantastic college coach. I think even Baylor, what he did at Baylor, but what he did at Temple, he got Temple to 10 wins. Like that's insane. I don't care where they played, getting Temple to 10 wins, like that doesn't just happen.
Like the manifesto works in college.
Right.
The Pepsi tastes like Pepsi 100% of the time, doesn't work with pros.
Yes, but it's one of those things that the way he got fired in Carolina, the stink on him from how bad they were, it can all be erased by taking a year off and doing media, and then you can get the real, like, because I think he can get any job he wants right now, but he'd probably have to make some concessions and not, you know what I mean? It's not the perfect fit for him, whereas he waits a year and it's everyone's going to be like, whoa, remember Matt Rule? Like, the Temple and Baylor years outweigh the Carolina Panther years.
He'll also be beloved on TV. Unlike most head coaches at that level, he can have a normal human conversation.
Right.
And that makes you a star in TV.
Yes, that's true. So, all right. So kind of a similar situation, even though it might not appear this way from the outside looking in. What happens with Penn State and James Franklin? Because James Franklin is a case where he's at a school where the expectations don't meet the reality. And you could basically look at it one of two ways. You could say James Franklin isn't competing with Michigan and Ohio State anymore. He won 11 games a couple times, but it was a while ago. Or you could say Michigan and Ohio State are just that much better, so we should just be happy that we're winning 9-10 games and be good with that. So where do you think that, like, how do you think that all unfolds, and where the Penn State fan base is sitting right now?
The Penn State fan base is not happy.
Happy.
James Franklin did this new contract, and his salary is guaranteed 85% for the life of the contract. So they are not firing him anytime soon. It's not Jimbo Fisher ironclad, but it's close enough. So nothing's happening to James Franklin. Now, I will say I kind of split the difference there, because the way he's recruited, it feels like next year could be one of those years for them. So where they really are competitive with Michigan and Ohio State. I'm curious what they do going forward this season. Do they go with Drew Aller, the freshman at quarterback, and just see where his ceiling is? Do they try to get him ready so that when he takes over next year and has talent around him that is more comparable to Michigan and Ohio State, is he ready? Or do they stay with Sean Clifford for the rest of this year and then figure that all out in the offseason? I think that's the more interesting question going forward. And I kind of want to see how they play Ohio State. It's weird because that game against Michigan tracked with some of those games during a very good period for Penn State. 2016 to 2018, they had really good teams that went to Michigan and got smashed. 2016, they beat Ohio State. 2018, they played them tough. My guess, they play Ohio State tough again. And everybody's like, well, they were kind of close there. So I guess it's all right. But no, they're not thrilled with James Franklin right now. I think they need to see some progress through the end of this year. And then there is hope, just judging by the way the recruiting has gone, that next year will be a little bit different.
And it's so funny because in college football, you can have a loss that is okay with, it's never okay for a lot of fan bases to lose, but the non-competitive losses in Michigan I had the game very wrong. They absolutely bullied them. Like as severe as you can bully a team, that's what Michigan did to Penn State. And when it happens like that, it just, something about it feels different where you're like, whoa, we don't have a chance against these guys. That looked like a Michigan versus a Rutgers, not a Michigan versus a Penn State. And that's when people are like, that loss is different than if Penn State went into Ann Arbor and lost by 3 in a thriller.
I agree completely. And it was weird that Penn State was ahead in that game, 17-16. It was mostly because they played some good red zone defense and kept Michigan out of the end zone early. But on the podcast, we had a bet on that game, and I had taken Penn State +7, feeling pretty good about it. And I had to eat $30 worth of Taco Bell on my show.
Well, that's not a
because
punishment.
of that. Although I will say now, Sharon Moore, the O-line coach at Michigan, offensive coordinator, who I am happy to give a lot of credit for this offensive renaissance at Michigan. I kind of want to hug him because I'd never had those little Cinnabon things.
Yeah.
They're so good, right?
Oh my God.
Taco Bell's
those
great.
are crazy good.
Andy, have you ever had Taco Bell breakfast?
I have not. I was looking at that. I'm thinking I might have to con my co-host into another bet involving Taco Bell just so I can do that.
Take Rutgers against Michigan. Be like, yeah, you know what? I like the Scarlet Knights at home in Piscataway. Let's run it back. Let's go double or nothing, $60 worth, and then get like 10 breakfast crunch wraps with the sausage. It will change your life. Those are the Cinnabon treats.
Tremendous.
By the way, Michigan, I don't know if you agree with this, but I had them wrong to begin the year because they played absolutely no one. Maryland was competitive with them, and I was like, that's weird. Like Maryland, they're better than the average Maryland, but still Michigan should be able to beat Maryland. I'm now completely flipping. I think they absolutely can beat Ohio State again because of the style they play, and they just play that bully ball where if they're running the ball and they're doing it, and I love a coach like Jim Harbaugh who's like, if this is working, we're not stopping. We don't care if we never throw the ball. Winning is the most important thing. I'm so excited for that game now because I thought all year it's going to be Ohio State's revenge. They're going to blow them out, everything. Now it's like Michigan might still be those guys.
Yeah, that style travels. Doesn't matter if you're having a good day, bad day, home, road. That works pretty much everywhere. And, I think it's a better version of the one from last year. Now, they don't have the same elite pass rushers they had on the other side of the ball, which is what allowed them to really get after C.J. Stroud. I love the interior of Michigan's defensive line this year, but that offense, I think, is more dangerous because of J.J. McCarthy. And I love the way Harbaugh handled that situation at the beginning of the year. He had what amounted to an NFL preseason in his non-conference schedule, and he used it like one. He said, I'm going to give Cade McNamara the first game. I'm going to give J.J. McCarthy the second game, and we'll make a decision based on that. The timing of that was intentional. Cade McNamara is coming off leading them to a Big Ten title, but you want to start J.J. McCarthy. And I know Jim Harbaugh said it was biblical, wisdom of Solomon, who could have known. No, I think he knew. Cade starts. He's the opening day starter after leading to a Big Ten title. JJ comes in. You're like, oh, this is different. And then everybody kind of accepts the reality. And JJ has not had to throw them to a win yet. I thought what he said on Saturday after the game was perfect. He's like, look, if we're going to average like 7.6 yards a carry, I'm happy to be along for the ride. But I do think there may come a point where he has to, and I think he's capable of it.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes them a little more interesting in a game against a better Ohio State. Like this Ohio State defense is a lot better than the one they played last year. Jim Knowles, the DC they hired this year, worth every penny. So they're going to need him if they want to beat Ohio State this time.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were saying that this style of football travels. I think it gets better over the course of the year as it gets colder outside, as weather starts to become an actual thing that they have to deal with. But then once you get into the playoffs, I think they're in like Arizona and then the
Arizona and Atlanta.
College football mecca of Los Angeles for the championship game. So that'll be nice. And so that just spells disaster if Michigan does get into the playoff.
Yeah, I still don't know that they're necessarily equipped to deal with who they might see there if they had to play Georgia again, if they had to play Alabama. But I think they're getting closer, and that's progress. 'Cause 2 years ago, we were ready to run off Harbaugh, and we were like, he's lost it. There's no chance. They're done for. I think they've gotten better each of the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Not us. We always had his back. I like this style of football too. It's like the 90s are back. We're going to just run the ball down your throat. And we got an offensive line built out of like feral hogs, and there's nothing that you're going to be able to do to stop it. It's fun to watch when all you see is just like, electric passing attacks everywhere else. Having variety is good, I think. I want to talk about Texas real quick. Their next 3 games, pretty tough games. How many of those games do you think Texas has to win in order for the fan base to feel like real good about the direction they're heading in going into next year?
For the fan base to feel good, they need to win 3 of them. Realistically, I think 2 would do. This is one that Iowa State game, as frustrating as that probably was for Texas fans, be happy. That represents progress because they should have lost that game. Mm-hmm. And I think over the past 10 years, that's a game they would have lost. So the fact that they're sitting there at 5-2 right now, they lost a game they shouldn't have against Texas Tech. but then they got in a situation again against Iowa State where they should have lost, but they didn't. And I think that's progress. But Oklahoma State, K-State, both of those on the road, both incredibly tough places to play. If you've never been to a game at Boone's Pickens Stadium or Bill Snyder Family Stadium, like if your team happens to be going there out of conference and you're like, I don't know if I want to make the trip. I'm telling you right now, those are great places to watch a game. If they can be 2-1 in this stretch, I'm ready to start thinking maybe that they could be back next year, because I look at the young offensive linemen they brought in that they've had to plug in and play. Those guys are getting better, and they were pretty good to start with. I can't even imagine second year that leap. This is starting to look like a team that actually meets its recruiting ranking at some point. And that's just not what Texas has been. They've been a team that they would bring in these guys. They were highly touted recruits, and then none of them would make it to the NFL, and they would just kind of, they'd have a decent game against a good team every once in a while, or maybe surprise Oklahoma, but then they'd lose to Iowa State or they'd lose to TCU. They feel different now, but they got to prove it. They got to prove it in this stretch. And look, let's say they beat Oklahoma State and K-State and lose to TCU. I don't think there's any shame in that. TCU is really good this year, but this is the step they need to take. Like 2-1 in this stretch would show me they're taking the steps they need to be in a position next year to maybe compete for the Big 12 title.
Yeah. I love TCU the way they play this year. And that game against Oklahoma State, it was too bad that it got it was the Alabama-Tennessee game was like all time, but I was watching both at the same time, and I was like, this is a great game, what TCU is doing to come back in this game. Last conference I want to talk about, obviously ACC, Clemson. So I a couple weeks ago, I was like, take Clemson 16-1 to win the national championship. They're not going to win it, but at that number, they're going to get there. It's already down to 10-1. Is there a chance they could even get to the final? Because I've watched most of their games. The Wake Forest game was crazy. They had a lot of defensive backs out. Sam Hartman played out of his goddamn mind. He was incredible. I do think once Clemson gets a little more healthy on defense, like they are going to be right up there with everyone else in terms of just the way they play defense. And DJ Uiagalelei is actually not so bad anymore. That's a nice thing to say.
I've changed my mind. This is, I'd say in the past 4 weeks, I've gone from a DJ Uiagalelei doubter to DJ's good.
Yeah.
Like, he's just good. Like there was a play he made in the Florida State game where they sent a corner blitz and the guy's got him dead to rights. And it's like the guy realizes as he gets within 2 feet of DJ, holy crap, this guy's 6'5", 245. And DJ just kind of sidesteps him and uncorks a beauty down the sideline. And he just wasn't throwing that confidently last year. This is a different person that we're seeing this year. And I admit I was wrong on him. He is really grown up, and I love watching that offense play now. Now, defensively, you're right. They had some guys out. I think their defensive line is nasty enough, actually, that if they get in the playoff, they might be able to beat somebody in the playoff.
Yeah.
Because, again, we talk about things that travel. Well, Brian Bresee and Tyler Davis travel. Those guys are fantastic. And so I think they have the pieces to actually compete for a national title. Whether they can put it all together is another question. They've got Syracuse this week. Syracuse is undefeated. I think Clemson's almost a 2-touchdown favorite. My guess is they flex on Syracuse, and then we forget about them for the rest of the year. They keep on winning, and then they show up at a semifinal, and the other team's like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
They might be better than us.
That's kind of my whole thought process is like they have the dudes, like your co-host Ari, stars matter. Like they have the stars. It was just last year was a down year. They won 10 games. Their offensive line sucked. DJ sucked. DJ also, that Notre Dame game like screwed him so bad when he filled in for Trevor Lawrence and lit the world on fire, and everyone's expectations for him went sky high. And then he had last year, and everyone's like, this guy stinks. Now we're getting to see kind of the middle ground here, and he's pretty good. He will miss like 1 or 2 throws a game that you'll be like, what the fuck is going on with him? But that's also an expectation of a 5-star that's probably unfair.
Yeah, and then the number of misses has come down.
Right.
And then the thing is, those are made up for by he's now going to make 3-4 throws a game where you go, how did he do that?
Right.
And you never said that last year. But like that Wake Forest game, he had 2 throws in overtime. And you're like, I don't know if anybody else can make that.
Yeah.
throw.
Yeah.
Andy, give me the ultimate chaos scenario that we can look forward to as the rankings start to come out. Give me one that'll piss everyone off. I want you to say the words, and I want to just think to myself, oh my God, that would be awesome.
Well, there'd be one group of people that would be happy about this, and they tend to be pretty annoying when they're happy. So you just be ready for that. But everybody else would hate this. All right, here we go. So Tennessee and Georgia play an absolute classic. 9 overtimes. Anybody could win based on the bounce of the ball. Georgia wins. Tennessee wins the rest of their games. Ole Miss and Alabama and Oxford play an absolute classic. Alabama wins with a walk-off field goal or in overtime, something like that. It's close.
I know where this is going, and I already hate it.
Alabama goes to Atlanta to face undefeated Georgia. Beats them close. I'm just saying, people are asking, could Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, and Ole Miss be the playoff?
Yeah. Ohio State, you got to add in.
Playoff?
Yeah, Ohio State loses to Penn State, beats the shit out of Michigan, and then Illinois beats Ohio State in Indianapolis.
You got that, and then the Pac-12 will take care of itself. Somebody's going to knock off TCU. Clemson loses to Syracuse this weekend, and then South Carolina just plays the game of its life and wins that, makes that a rivalry again. It's all coming together for the SEC. That plucky little SEC might just be their year.
Damn.
JMU dominates Marshall and goes on the road to Louisville, kicks the shit out of them. Maybe they sneak in.
Well, listen, I don't know. As Scott Frost will tell you, losing to Clay Helton's Georgia Southern, just not great for your future prospects.
No. It's not good. I said that I would cut my penis off if they made the college football playoff this year. A lot of people didn't realize that they're
it's a solid bet when
make the playoff.
The rules are in your favor.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. All right. So Andy, I got one last question. Roback question. Andy's wearing Roback right now. Q-Zips.
Listen, I was wearing Roback when I caught a pass in the Texas A&M Alabama game. That's right. One-handed catch. And I'm pretty sure it was because of my Roback hoodie.
Hell yes. So go to roback.com, RHOBACK, use code TAKE for 20% off. I'm wearing the joggers right now. The all brand new joggers are incredible. Hoodies, Q-Zips, polos, joggers, everything. Roback.com, promo code TAKE. I think we just have to. I feel like this has been the year where because Nebraska fired Scott Frost, they just get to be in every conversation, college football conversation. It's actually the most relevant Nebraska's been in a long time. They just had to fire their coach to have it happen. Where do you think it is right now? Like if you had to circle, I loved your idea of Jeff Monk and going to Nebraska and them just running the triple option on steroids. But if you had to guess right now, where are they leaning and who are they looking for?
I think Lance Leipold would be your favorite. He's the Kansas coach and did a great job. Now, if Wisconsin's really open, if they are not just going to elevate Jim Leonhard, that might be where Lance Leipold would land.
He's from
because
Wisconsin.
He's a Wisconsin guy, coached at Wisconsin Whitewater, won a bunch of D3 national titles there. But, Kansas is going to try to keep him. They're going to do everything they can to try to keep him. They'll throw a bunch of money at him. But I think when you look at a guy who's built like that, it makes a lot of sense because Kansas was a bigger dumpster fire when he got there than Nebraska is now.
Yep.
And that's saying something. And the fact that he turned it around as quickly as he did, well, it's not that different from a recruiting footprint standpoint or anything else. He understands the lay of the land very well. So that's one I would look at. I still think Matt Campbell can coach. I know all the Iowa State people are out on him now, and everybody's like, well, he missed his window. Now, if you can make Iowa State win 9 games in a season, you're a good coach. Like, you know what the hell you're doing. And again, similar recruiting footprint, similar kind of builder. I think that's a guy they should look at. I know there's a lot of shine off him right now, But I guarantee if they'd have beaten Texas this weekend, everybody would be like, well, it's Matt Campbell's job to lose now. So that's another one, I think. And I hope Mickey Joseph gets a shot. He's the interim coach right now. He's got him playing better. And you know what? If he keeps him playing better and they decide, no, we don't want to hire you, I hope Mickey Joseph gets Colorado, because I think he's showing he's worthy of a head coaching job.
Yeah. You didn't mention Urban Meyer, so that's off the table.
I'm guessing Urban feels like he could do a little better.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Okay. Maybe Notre Dame's open in a couple of years. That was a bad loss to Stanford. I just want to will Notre Dame and Urban Meyer because it would be the funniest marriage of all time.
I think we missed our window in 2004 going into 2005 when the Notre Dame jet landed in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
But Florida's athletic director had already basically made the deal.
Yeah.
It was over then.
I feel like that's a marriage even Notre Dame would not approve of.
No, they wouldn't.
There's a bridge too far.
But Urban Meyer is that guy. He's the one guy out there where it's like, do you want to win a national title? Because you probably will.
I don't know if they will. I'm not sure how Urban's management style works in the era of NIL and the transfer portal.
Yeah, true.
It's a lot more like working in the NFL now.
Mm-hmm.
I just think,
when will college coaches just realize that it doesn't work in the NFL? The only person that made it work was probably Pete Carroll, right?
It was Pete Carroll, and you know the revisionist history of if Drew Brees had passed his physical, Nick Saban would still be in the NFL right now.
Yeah. There's that. I guess Jimmy Johnson, right? That kind of worked out.
Yeah, that worked, and probably could have kept working, except Jerry wanted to bring in Barry Switzer.
Yeah, I guess you could say Barry Switzer too if you're just going off Super Bowl wins. If you just say that.
Barry Switzer had a Larry Coker-esque experience, though.
Yes. If you just say, did they win a Super Bowl? Yes. The answer is yes. Barry Switzer was a resounding success in a perfect job. Okay, well, Andy, thank you as always. It's been a very fun college football season. It feels like there was so much hand-wringing with NIL and stuff, and now we get to watch these games. That's been my main point forever is like everyone gets upset about the conference, the NIL. When the games are on, you're going to watch because there's nothing like it.
It's the whole offseason because the offseason is so long. We get into the weeds of all this crap. And I always tell the people because they'll yell at me, I'm never watching this again now that the guys are getting money or there's too many buyouts and all that. Shut up. What are you going to do on Saturdays?
Yeah,
exactly. Watch the games.
You're going to watch some college football. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yes.
It does serve a valuable purpose, which is it gives people an excuse if their team loses. It's like, well, it's the NIL bullshit.
Yes.
I'm out.
Yeah, I'm out. I don't want to watch this anymore. Andy, thank you so much, and appreciate you coming on, and we'll talk soon.
All right, see you guys.
Andy Staples is brought to you by Chevy. We are starting to see pretenders and contenders emerging after the first month of the NFL season. There's one player that's never a pretender and always a contender. That player is the Chevy Silverado. Silverado shows up week in and week out with unstoppable grit and determination. Silverado is the ultimate tailgate flex with the available multi-flex tailgate and power outlet built right into the bed. And the first ever ZR2 is the ultimate off-road machine. They pulled one of these bad boys up right outside Barstool HQ. They were unloading it. People were stopping on the streets, taking pictures of it. They couldn't believe it. It's an amazing truck. You're going to love it. From tailgates in stadium to off-road adventures, Chevy Silverado has you covered. If you pull up to the tailgate in any truck besides a Chevy Silverado, I'm sending you home. It's tailgate season. That means it's Silverado season. Head over to Chevy.com, learn more about the Chevy Silverado, or go to the dealership and say, hey, Part of My Take sent me. They want me to get a Chevy Silverado from you. They'll give you $100 off, a cup of coffee, and a full tank of gas on your way out the door, probably. So check out Chevy.com, learn more about the all-new Silverado. And now here's Joe Burrow.
Okay, time for One Question with the Quarterback, our new Wednesday feature that is taking the world by storm. Blake Bortles retired. Kirk Cousins stunted on us. And now we have our friend, recurring guest, national champion, Super Bowl participant, Joe Burrow from the Cincinnati Bengals. One Question with the Quarterback. PFT, I'm going to let you ask the first question of Joe.
Thank you. Yeah, we have to be very efficient with these questions because we only get one. So I'll just tell people, check out the Joe Burrow Foundation. I'll give you that plug right off the bat because I'm a nice guy. My question for you is, if you could get one guy for the month of December and the playoffs, so you get him for the playoffs too to join the Bengals, between Odell Beckham, LeBron James at tight end, or Harambe is alive again and he's playing defensive end and he's doing a 3-man rotation with Trey and Sam Hubbard. Who are you taking?
You got to take Harambe, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, the strength to weight ratio is just way higher than humans.
You got to get after the quarterback in the playoffs. You have to be able to heat him up. Like you got to take Josh Allen or Mahomes. I think the only person that's taking Josh Allen down is probably Silverback Gorilla.
Yeah.
That's a easy 7 sacks a game, I'm sure.
I think we're kind of sleeping too. Like Harambe could probably play 2 ways. You could probably have him as your left tackle as well if you needed him.
It depends on how great his cardio is.
That's true.
That's a good point. Yeah, like does he have all the current injuries that he currently has?
Yeah.
Because if so, he'd probably run out of breath pretty quick. Put him at H-back. I like that.
Yeah. Okay, that was a good question. All right, Joe, my question is this season, you guys are seem to be writing the path. You had your appendix taken out before the season. Have there been any times this season where you've made a throw and you're like, damn, if I had my appendix, like that throw would have been good?
No, not specifically. It was definitely took some time to get back to where I was pre-surgery, but I'm feeling good now, so I think we're going to get it rolling.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not a doctor or a scientist. I just, was curious if like you make a throw and you're like, "Oh man, if I just had a little bit more of my body, internal organs, that throw might have been a completion."
Yeah, you never know.
Okay.
You don't have as much guts to spill.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the problem.
Yeah.
Sabermetrically.
Yeah. Billy, do you have a question, Billy? Go ahead. Oh wait, hold on. Billy's mic's not on. We'll turn Billy's mic on. He's got a question. This is always scary when Billy has to ask a question.
Hey, Joe. Quick question. There's a clip going around the internet. I want to get your take on it. There was a cough that happened during a press conference. Saw you were getting a lot of unfair flack about it and just wanted to hear your side of the story because it's important.
I was what? What was the last part?
Well, it's important because you're getting a lot of flack on the internet.
That's not a question, Billy. You have to ask a question.
His question is, his question is, can he hear your side of the story of it, please?
With the cough.
Yeah.
I honestly don't even remember if I was reacting to the cough. I could have been. I do a lot of press conferences. It was a while ago. I barely remember it, but so I don't think I was reacting to the cough. I think I was reacting to something else.
When was this press conference?
People were saying that he was scared of a cough.
Oh, okay. So Billy just basically was like, "Are you a lib? Do you still think COVID exists?"
Oh, frightened of? Are you asking if I'm frightened of loud noises?
Without the appendix immunocompromisation, we don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. You're right.
We don't know.
You never know.
You never know.
I guess I'll have to leave open-ended for the discussions.
Yeah, next time we have you on, Billy's question will be, do you think COVID is real?
Yeah.
We'll just kind of move on from there.
I wish we had longer to discuss this topic. Joe, do you have a question for us to finish this off?
Big Cat, how many donuts did you eat this weekend?
Oh, man. So I was at a wedding on Friday. I got a little banged up. So it was a lot. It was, I get 6 and then I usually will just take a bite of all of them. I feel like Booger put you up to this question. I'm not going to answer. I'm not going to implicate myself anymore. This is bullshit. All the LSU guys call me fat.
On the spot, and so I throw out a question. What do you want from me?
Okay. All right. That's fair. I feel like the LSU guys, they're really, I'm going to LSU this weekend. It's going to be great.
It'll be great. It's always fun.
Yeah. It's going to be a great time. Fred's. It's going to be sick. Everyone should come out to the show. All right. I think we're out of questions. Unless anyone else in the room. Oh, Jake has a question. All right. Last question from Jake.
Hey, Joe. Jake Marsh, part of my Take podcast. Which show do you enjoy more? This one or Calling Cowards?
Ooh.
Good question.
Good question.
I enjoy both of them equally.
That's not true.
Okay.
Next time you see him that he's a fake soup guy. Doesn't really like soup.
What does that mean?
He pretends that he likes soup, but I guarantee if you ask Colin Coward to name 6 soups off the top of his head, he's going to be running to Google. He doesn't actually like soup. I think
you to name 6 soups off the top of your head.
You want me to name 6 right now?
6.
Okay. Minestrone. We're going to go loaded baked potato, Manhattan clam chowder, New England clam chowder.
We're counting chowders.
Okay, then I'll do chowder, then ramen. I'm going to go with pho, and I'm going to go with the avgo lemono soup, the Greek lemon chicken soup, my personal favorite.
Chowder counts too.
Dude, Joe, you just got dunked on.
Yeah, that was bad. That was bad for you. That was really bad for you.
Come at the king, you best not miss.
Yeah.
Right.
Max, did you have a question? Maybe check your phone. See if you have a question. Last question for Joe. This is from Max, our producer.
Yep. Hey Joe, Pardon My Take podcast here. Did you pick one show? If you could pick one show for the rest of his life, or else you die, which show would you pick? Ours or Cowards?
Answering that question.
That was a good question, Max. All right. Well, Joe, thank you for joining us for One Question with the Quarterback. We got to have you back on for a real interview sometime soon. And best of luck with the rest of the season, man. We love watching you.
Yeah, sounds good, guys. Appreciate it.
All right.
luck,
Thanks, Joe.
Joe Burrow is brought to you by ZipRecruiter. In the latest news, Halloween is expected to be epic this year, so party supply stores had to hire tens of thousands of workers. They needed everyone from supervisors to stockers to keep up with the sales of fake blood, fangs, and other frightening costumes and accessories. Sounds like a dreadful task, which is why party supply stores and businesses of all size use ZipRecruiter. So, if you're hiring, ZipRecruiter finds qualified candidates fast. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/PMT. ZipRecruiter uses its powerful technology to find and match the right candidates up with your job. Then you can easily review all the recommended candidates and invite your top ones to apply. Additionally, ZipRecruiter has a complete suite of tools, makes it easy to filter, review, and rate your candidates. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the very first day. Hiring doesn't have to be scary. Just go to this exclusive web address to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/PMT. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/PMT. ZipRecruiter.com/PMT. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Okay, let's wrap up the show. By the way, every time I try to type Schwarber, this is how much I love the guy, in my phone on Twitter, it just always capitalizes because that's just how fucking awesome he is. What are we doing? FAQs and guys on chicks? Let's do it, Hank.
Yeah. Hey, fellas, do you think Max could beat Billy up?
Yeah.
I saw him easily outbenching Billy, and he had the Philly rage that Billy can't contend with as a soft-hand New Yorker.
He never outbenched
Also,
me.
please say Thailand again, Hank. Thanks, Big T. Meat Spin.
Max never outbenched me at all.
So here's the thing. I've witnessed both Billy and Max bench on the same day. And the fact is, Max put up the full rack of weights with ease on the very same day that Billy did
That
not
is
get
not
the full
true
bench up.
at all.
So,
that is just not true.
Yeah, that on that day.
Why do we
was,
just lie
on
on
that
the
day
podcast?
was true, Billy.
We
That
just
was the
lie
day
on
that
the podcast. We just lie. We just lie.
No,
All
we
we
made
do
a
is
sheet.
lie.
We made a sheet about it. I benched
No,
as
you
much
didn't.
as you did that day, which was 255.
All
And then
PFT
Max
does
All
gonna-
he
is
does
shit
is
and
make
lie.
people do
He
bets they didn't
benched
agree to and
275.
lie.
I was going to say, I like this question because
275.
there's 0% chance Billy doesn't end up triggered. But keep going.
Well, I was going to say the only other thing I would say, just for the can confirm from the question, is that Max does have those blue collar Philly hands with
man's
calluses.
hands.
He doesn't
And Billy
even
does have the
do,
softest hands on the
he doesn't
podcast.
Manual labor.
He edits on his computer and somehow he
And,
still has
and
calluses.
it's confirmed.
all
We did a
over his
test.
hands.
Billy has the softest hands on the podcast.
Yeah. Also, one time, this is no joke. I walked past Max one day when he was editing. He was doing a working lunch at his desk, and he was eating the biggest steak that I've ever seen, just with a knife at work. It was pretty cool.
Max is pretty much everything that Billy wants to be.
Max, why don't you speak some truth to the people?
You just want to call me fat so bad right
Okay,
now. I
so
can
we-
see
No,
it
I
in your
don't want to call
face.
you
I can
fat.
see
I
it
don't
in
want
your
to call you
face.
fat. That's not what I'm saying. Did you ever bench more than 275, which we both did? We both did that.
True.
See?
True. No,
That's
no.
some facts on the podcast.
No, that is true.
Thanks,
That is
Max.
true. But then we both went to 290,
Fiction.
290, and I didn't get it. But you got stuffed immediately, and I was like,
So you can bench
Yeah.
Max can bench 285 and Billy can't.
No, we tried.
Right.
Neither of us did 285.
He
Yeah,
said 290.
Yeah, but he did it.
No,
He almost did it. You did.
He did
Yeah,
275
right. Yes,
harder.
yes.
than
Okay,
That's true.
I'll give him that. But
That's
we both
true.
did it.
That's,
So he's stronger.
Also, but Billy, there was that one day that Billy didn't do 275.
Because I was okay. You know what?
Well, you didn't let him PFT. That was your fault.
The good thing
next
is, Billy,
question.
you didn't take any of this as a joke, which it was meant to be a joke.
I think actually that Max after a Phillies win versus Billy after a Jets loss would be a battle for the ages.
Good battle.
How do y'all navigate around criticizing either past guests or guests you want to have?
Oh,
on
I
in the
saw went viral the other day. He's a piece of shit.
What did he go viral for?
He went viral for
He went viral for saying
To
that
mean
Bill
to,
Murray
like,
was
Chris
mean to
Farley
them,
and shit.
Or he didn't like them when he came back to like guest host SNL.
We should bleep
that's a
the
shame.
name that I said there and just leave in all the context clues. So we never said that. I never said that. I never said that. I think we're actually pretty good. Yeah.
The truth is, you can, yeah, we are. You can usually figure out exactly who we're defending because they've been on the podcast. I don't think that we really make that. We don't really try to hide our biases.
Yeah,
We're openly
and more
biased.
than that, I mean, we have taken from day one. PFT and I, Hank, all like agreed. Like, this is a podcast that is. We want people to come on, have fun, and come back, not play gotcha. So we've even protected guests before. We've even some of our favorite guests. We cut things out that they didn't even realize they said. Like, we want everyone. We don't want people to just get bad publicity that doesn't really serve the podcast and doesn't make anything funnier or fun. So, and then the few people that we don't like, you can pretty much figure out because we talk about them all the time. Dan Marino. Yeah.
like Dan Marino.
All right,
And
we're
Mark
gonna.
Titus.
I think next week we're gonna do Jimbo's. By the way, we're gonna bring them back. So try not to send real
Yeah,
ones.
hell
It's been
yeah.
enough time.
Hank, I have
People
a
should
question.
have fuck ups. There's just not. Meme sent me like 3 questions and 2 of them are not even good.
Hank, I have a question real quick.
Yes, PFT.
What are Jimbos?
Jimbos are from Jim.
No.
Not Jimbo
Sula.
Fisher.
Jim Tom
Jim
Sula?
Tom Sula. Jim Tom Sula. That's what he called his fuck up. So he would say,
Yeah,
I
he'd be
fucked
like,
up, and just
if
call
I
him
was
Jimbo.
supposed to run,
So in the
if I was
early
supposed to
days
run
of
when
the
I
show,
was when I was supposed to run when it was clearly a running down and I passed, that's a Jimbo. That's on me. And he would just own up to it and be like, Jimbo.
So in the early days of the show, I think it was on Fridays, like before Firefest, we would talk about our biggest fuck ups of the week, and then have people submit fuck ups. There was the classic Pizza Hut fuck up, and so that we did those for a while, but then people started sending bad ones, so we stopped. But we're gonna bring them back
Hell
because
yeah.
these FAQs
You know what?
are now.
We'll put in maybe we should re-release on our YouTube the best Jimbos, which the Pizza Hut one. Just put that up there as a short so people can get an idea. Maybe the hardest I've ever laughed. So give you an idea of what Jimbos were. It was one of those things that then became people were just making stuff up, but we do day one AWLs know that Jimbos were great at the beginning. So we'll try to reclaim that glory. And shout out Billy for coming up with that idea.
No,
he said
Jimbos.
Jimbos.
Jimbos has just always been one of my favorite OG segments
Yeah.
that I just used. That's how I fell in love with the show.
Oh, wow.
Way back.
Sup, fellas? It asked for a mincy voice. Where do you guys see the show going in the future?
Moon.
It seems like you guys have got most of the White Whale interviews. Is there a way you guys plan on keeping ideas fresh and exciting, or just going with the
Such
flow?
a dick.
Especially with the move to Chicago and the horizon. Thanks.
Yeah, we're actually going to take the show into the metaverse next year. It's going to be exclusively in the metaverse. So buy your $75,000
Okay,
helmet.
real
from
answer. We do still have some white whales out there, and I know that obviously, we don't try to delve too far into comment sections, everything, because it will poison your brain, and it does keep us fresh. You can see Billy's brain freshly poisoned every day. But I would say that, yes, there are some repetitive nature to the show, but the non-repetitive nature is the sports. That's what keeps it fresh. Sports are there's always a different sports story. There's always, the seasons change. And that's why I love doing the show, because I like talking sports with you guys. So it's like You know, every year, like when football season ends, it's a little sad, but it's also like, hey, I'm ready to talk about a different sport. And then we go to something else. And then summertime, it's like, let's do something different. Let's do Mount Rushmore. So I feel like the calendar year in its own keeps us fresh.
It's funny because there's always like one person that'll be like, fastest 2 minutes is the worst. I skip forward through it every single week. And then you look at everybody else that listens to the show.
You guys never do the Jets in there.
Yeah, we intentionally skip the Jets, the Packers, who else
Ravens.
Do we intentionally skip?
Whenever
Ravens,
the Bears lose, I don't
I
put
think
them
I
in.
realized that it's because the Jets
Eagles.
only because the Jets have won. I think is like people are like Jets fans like listening. Like, why didn't you put the Jets?
Yeah,
in?
we've
Like, I've
said
never
it a
seen
million
that before,
times.
ever. But it's only because they're. It's only
And
because
we've
they're
said it a
good
million
in the
times.
past 2 weeks.
The fast 2 minutes are pretty much random. Like we pick 8 to 9 games, and sometimes we'll even pick a game, start it, have nothing good, and then go to the next game and just be like, let's just not do this game. So we will do. I actually kind of want to not do the Jets to keep it going.
Well, we did that. We did that a couple years ago. I forget what team that we did. That we just intentionally never included the entire. Maybe it was the Dolphins.
Yeah,
I think it might have been the Dolphins.
You know what we should do? Let's do this. We will include the Jets in every fastest 2 minutes when they lose, and never include them when they win. That will get people so mad. And if you're listening to this right now, you know we're doing this intentionally to piss people off. But yeah, what PFT was saying is right. Like you could find if you wanted to just dig deep into the internet, you could find a complaint about everything that this show has ever done about each one of us a million times over. But I think for the majority of listeners, the vast majority of listeners, they enjoy the show, and we love them for that. So you can't listen to the 3%, 1% that will pick apart every little thing that you say. And I also don't even.
Also,
Chicago
will
the
be a
offices
game
are going to be
changer, too.
sick.
I think that will just naturally everything will be fresh.
The office
based off of us being
the office is going to be sick. And by the way, the 1% that do pick apart everything we say, I actually don't even hate them because it's like it fills their day with something. Like when they just hark on everything that we say. It's
it shows you.
Well, they have to
who's
listen to
actually
every
listening.
single word.
Like that's the person that is paying the most attention is the person that's able to pick everything
I do,
apart.
Especially in football season, because we talk about every team and we talk about the entire league. So we're not experts about any specific team, and we will get the experts chime in about their specific team, being like, "You got this wrong." It's like, you know what? I probably did because we're doing a fucking big view of everything. So you're right. I didn't know that like the left tackle went out in the second quarter and that changed the outcome of the game.
Exactly. They'll be like, Raheem Mostert actually didn't get any touches in the third quarter. And I'll be like, they'll say, do you even watch the games?
Yeah, 8 games on.
Kind of. Yeah, it was on one of the it was on one of the TVs.
I think we do a pretty good job for talking about
Maybe I
all
missed
of them
a place.
and having no expertise whatsoever. Okay,
Yep.
Next one. Yeah.
Except for Billy.
Oh, that was it. Oh, I had one more. There was
it.
one sent to me.
Okay.
Let's see. Where was it? Let's to do. Okay. This one was, hi, longtime AWL. I have a FAQ. With years of doing the show 3 times a week, I was wondering if after all those shows, has Hank ever guessed the correct number at the ping pong ball machine? Thanks.
Hank?
No.
That's too bad, dude.
Oh, did you guys see the story that just
Billy's
came out
face?
about
What's Billy's
Jerry
face right
Jones? Jerry Jones and Robert Kraft.
What is Billy's face
like,
right now?
Mincy's
what's
going
Violet
nuts.
Beauregard
Oh.
and Willy Wonka when she turns blue?
Oh no, that's just Mincy's going nuts in the apartment over.
Okay.
I don't know what
Wait,
he's yelling about.
what was the story, PFT?
Jerry Jones is trying to take money out of Roger Goodell's pocket again, trying to redo his contract because he thinks he makes too much money. And Robert Kraft was disagreeing with him because Robert Kraft loves Roger Goodell. Goodell was at his wedding, I think. That was kind of weird. And then Jerry Jones just screamed at him, "Don't fuck with me." And then Kraft was like, "Excuse me?" And Jones clarified and said, "Don't mess with me."
And Jim Irsay, your white knight, being like, he's out, and
Yeah,
it's so
oh my
great
God.
because everyone's like, "Wow, Jim Irsay's got balls." No, Jim Irsay, literally every bad thing he's ever done is public, so Dan Snyder can't do anything to him.
It's actually perfect. It's kind of the Dave Portnoy method where it's like everything that he's done is out there. You can't find something that he hasn't already talked about. So I thank you, Jim Irsay. I DM'd him earlier today. I was like, thank you, sir, for standing up for what's right. And
hell
thumbs
yes.
upped it. If Jim Irsay, if he can get Dan Snyder out,
You should become a Colts fan.
I will get the Colts will be my AFC team for sure. Like I will root almost as hard for the Colts.
Yes.
And they'll probably it'll be nice too, because the Colts will get quarterbacks that the Commanders will get just like 1 year before. And then they'll filter through. I will become a Colts fan in the AFC if Jim Irsay does this. And I think he's going to, because you've never heard an owner say anything like this before. It just doesn't happen. He was like, I think we need to get him out. I think we need to force him to sell. Fuck yeah, Jim Irsay. I've always said Jim Irsay is what I think I would be like if you gave me like $1 billion. Buy every guitar out there, get like crazy amps and like pieces of Americana, jam out with all your musical heroes.
Not be drug
and then own
guys.
a football team. And then your job, not be drug guys. And then once a week, you just send off a tweet being like, the roof's open.
Yeah.
There you go. My job's done. I fucking love Jim Irsay. I always have. Jimbo, I love you. Please do the right thing for the league, for the Colts, for our Colts.
I'm rooting for this just so that
America.
you can just be ride or die with the Colts and then have to explain it anytime anyone asks, like, you're a Commanders and Colts fan? And you're like, well, how much time you got?
Yeah. No, it would be huge. I've said that I would get like a tattoo of whatever. I've said
You'd
a lot
cut
of
your
things
dick
about
off, you
what I
said,
would
if you
do
got
for Dan
kicked
Snyder
out.
to be done. No, I never said. I said I would cut my dick off if JMU won or was invited to the playoff. And then that sick fuck Darren Ravel tweeted out, "I've never rooted harder for a team, including Northwestern, before." What a fucking
He wants your
freak
dick. You know what he
Darren
wants
Ravel
to do is he
being
wants to
like,
buy
yeah.
it. He would
It was
definitely.
memorabilia.
A one of one. I own over one piece of PFT's body.
Yeah. Over half of a piece.
Okay,
of PFT's
numbers. So
body.
Hank, you've not gotten this, right?
No.
Okay. Just making sure. I wanted to answer that person's question. I'll go 37.
20.
69.
91.
I don't think this.
Why you don't think it'll be Mickey Mouse? 'Cause you're
Come
not
on,
here?
let's
You
go.
can't
Yeah,
win
but I
if you don't
think the real
play.
machine counts, right?
I'm not there.
Hank,
Come on, Hank.
Yeah, but
Hank
Jake's
will run
Hank.
over to your house and celebrate with you.
Hank, this is one. Hank, this is one step closer to you getting that $5,000. Come on.
All right. 17. No, 5.
5. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
Can I change mine to 17?
Oh no. Oh no. Memes has
17.
6. Oh no.
Jake's at attention.
I love Jake.
93.
Perfect posture.
93. Wow, that would have been electric if it was 17. All right. We'll see everyone on Friday for weekend
Female
preview.
hyenas
guys.
have pseudo penises that they use to dominate both males and females.
Love you guys.